Please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my very handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. What's up, JL?
Yeah, feels good to be back. Feels good to be back.
Man, some days you think it's not going to happen, and then every day, here we are, bright and early.
Here we are.
6 a.m. Well, I'm not sure they let us. I think we just force our way on the air every morning, but we're here, and that's what matters. We got Maria on the chat with number one coming and beating Tommy into the chat today, and Tommy saying, you. Now I am number two. Doesn't quite have the same ring, Tommy. Try to be first, because I like the yo a little bit better. It's a little bit better. Guys, it is that time of morning. I hope you brought your own breakfast, because John, Luke, and I brought everything else. We brought the stories we're going to talk about. We brought the topics that we need to bring up, and we brought the things that we want to hear about. But you guys got to bring your own breakfast. John, Luke, did you bring anything for me this morning? It looks like we might have lost JL here. I got something to bring up, guys, before JL gets back here. Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams was asked on if he will play Sunday, and he said, maybe. Keenan Allen was asked on if he will play Sunday, and he said, I hope. So we've got more non-committal answers from the Chargers, directly from the receivers' mouths on both of these guys on whether or not they're going to play this weekend. So if you're a fantasy manager for either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, keep your eyes on that situation. It's messy. I would imagine Mike Williams does not play this weekend, just based on what we've heard. If either of these guys is going to play, it's Keenan Allen. But, man, my trust for Keenan Allen starting has gone down to about 0 at this point.
You worried about those ambiguous quotes there, Simon?
Yeah. Mike Williams saying maybe, Keenan Allen saying I hope.
Yeah, what non-answers is that? What kind of nonsense is that?
No, it's I don't know. I think Keenan Allen maybe distrusts himself as much as we distrust him at this point. Like, I almost think it's not even vague. It's just Keenan Allen being like, yeah, man, I really hope so. Like, like that one feels genuine.
You don't think either of these guys are coming back this week?
I definitely think Mike Williams isn't. Keenan Allen, I'm not sure. I would like, he's the more likely of the two to play, but this quote doesn't give me any hope that he's going to actually play.
Yeah. Craig in the chat, he says, welcome to the FYF Morning Show, Zoo. Your guests today are JL the Hammer Garofalo and Simon the Pogo Stick Grunewald.
You know what? That kind of fits. The pogo stick fits. Did you know that I had a pretty mad pogo stick phase?
No, I did not.
That was one of my phases. I got a pogo stick for Christmas, and then I went through a mega pogo stick phase.
That makes sense. I am 0% surprised by that information, Simon.
It's pretty good at it too. Pretty good. I've always wanted one of those adult pogo sticks, you know, the ones that launch you 10 feet in the air, but I also know I would break a bone. No questions asked. First day I had it, I would injure myself.
Not a doubt in my mind either. Did you ever have those moon boots?
I did not, but I always saw them in commercials and in ads, and they were a thing I would circle in the Toys R Us catalog every single year saying I want these for Christmas. Did you have them?
Yes, I did. And I loved them. They were awesome. They're the coolest things ever. I wish I could have them again. I bet you I could order them.
Did they work?
I mean, I didn't get to the moon.
Well,
they were pretty cool.
I think one of my concerns was always shoes. You would just strap them on your feet and then you would walk around and be like, well, this is uncomfortable. Like that yeah, would the effect would be bad shoes, not anything cool, but that was just my cynicism.
Yeah, they weren't super useful.
I saw these shoes on Kickstarter, and I saw a video of them. I was like, oh, those are cool. I wonder how much they cost. And I looked them up. They were on Kickstarter, and they were like $1,200 a pair. But they were these shoes where you walk, but you go the speed of running. Like they were kind of like rollerblades, but they had like an arch to them with like flat wheels across the bottom. And you just did a walking motion, and then you would go like the speed of running because you were rolling while walking. They were pretty freaking cool, but not $1,200 cool.
$1,200?
$1,200. The early bird pricing was like $800, and they'd raised like over 200,000 on Kickstarter. Like people were buying it, but man, who's got that money for some shoes that like you're probably not going to get for another year, and they're probably not going to work like the prototype in the video.
Right.
But the prototype was pretty cool. There was some real like cognitive dissonance while you were watching this person who was clearly walking, but then the background behind them was like flying by.
That's terrifying.
It looked like an old animation, like the Mickey Mouse style animation where the background's moving, but the person's like pretending to walk.
Like in my lucid dream, I said the other day.
Just like in your dream that you said the other day.
That is wild. That is wild. We had a question in here from Lucius. He said, currently 9-1 in a 10-team half PPR league. Running backs are Kamara, Barkley, Walker. Wide receivers are Debo, Allen Lazard, AJ Brown, Hollywood Brown. Another owner is asking me to trade Debo/Walker for Derrick Henry. Should I take Simon? The thing that always trips me up with these questions sometimes is seeing the slash, and I never know if that means Debo, Samuel, and Kenneth Walker for Derrick Henry, or Debo or Kenneth Walker. What do you think?
Slash, I usually think's all of them together. Like this is my package, that's their package, and that's what we're going with.
These are our packages.
These are our packages together. Yeah, when both sides use slashes, then they can say these together are our packages.
These are our packages. So are you doing this trade, Simon?
So Debo Samuel and Kenneth Walker for Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
The side of this that I want is the Debo Walker side. The Debo Samuel, Kenneth Walker side, you get a top tier wide receiver in Debo Samuel. I know maybe he's been disappointing for fantasy, but he's still a every week start at the wide receiver position when he's healthy. Debo is. And Kenneth Walker is a stud running back. Don't get me wrong. He's not Derrick Henry, but he should be a top 12 guy rest of season. So you get a top 12 running back and that top tier wide receiver. That's the side I'm staying on.
So you're saying on the Debo Kenneth Walker side?
Yeah, I can't tell by the way this is worded if that's his side or if that's the side that he's getting, but that's the side I'm staying on.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker, Derrick Henry is close enough that it's kind of a wash for me. Debo is way too much on that side to add on there.
Yeah, it's too much. Going from Kenneth Walker to Derrick Henry, I would like to do that, but Debo's too much to put on there. What's a wide receiver you would add to that move, like Kenneth Walker plus Juju Smith-Schuster? Would you do that for Derrick Henry?
Yeah, probably.
Still a startable wide receiver, right? You're starting him most weeks.
I think that makes sense.
So it's enough of an upgrade from Walker to Henry to add in like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, maybe just not Debo Samuel, one of these guys that could be top 12.
Good question, Lucius. Good question. Spooky season, and you're saying, good morning, fellas. Good morning, Spooky.
What up, Spook?
Spook. Wait, doesn't that mean like a CIA agent or something?
I don't know. I was just shortening it. Like
I think
you spook
so.
someone, you're spooky.
I think that's a CIA agent slang.
Is it offensive?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Unless you're offended by the CIA.
Just wanted to make sure I didn't offend all the CIA agents out there.
I have no idea. It could be offensive. Honestly, I wouldn't take my word for it.
You know what? Then I'm just going to go ahead. CIA agents, I want to apologize for the language I used towards you. It was not intentional, and don't come after me. I'm really good. I've been such a good boy.
I've been such a good boy. I'm very afraid of pain.
Yeah, don't just
and
be
things
nice
impaling
to me,
my skin.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank
Yeah.
God. So afraid of things impaling my skin. Joe, you know, I've had some back issues recently, and my girlfriend called me the other day and was like, hey, like my dad's going to an acupuncturist in Austin. Do you want him to like schedule an appointment? His doctor doesn't see new patients, but he said he could get you in. And in that moment, like I wanted to scream F you through the phone because but like she was trying to be sweet, but I just wanted to be like, no, like just, and I was like, let me let me think about it. But really in my head, I was like, so you want me to lay on a table where a man I've never met shoves 1,000 of my worst fear into my body?
Thousands of my worst fear.
Like hundreds of my worst fear over and over and over again. You just want me to go get punctured by needles over and over and over again.
That is wild. I am not a big acupuncture fan. There was a woman at a startup I worked at previously. They hired a woman to do acupuncture, come in the office to do it. And she was so adamant about me doing this like ear acupuncture. Finally, I gave in and I did. I let her add some needles in my ear. She's like, oh, yeah, it'll be fine. I start bleeding. And it was like she had messed it up somehow, I think. And I started bleeding on my ear. I was just like, wow, this was like not relaxing at all. It was just really uncomfortable. And then I bled.
And now I'm bleeding.
Like,
I just think of the Final Destination. Did you watch the Final Destination with the acupuncture in it? Where the guy
I don't remember that.
He's like getting it, and then I think the building catches on fire. Spoiler alerts if you've never seen this Final Destination, but we're past the window. I think I'm allowed to just say what happens. The dude falls off the table with all of the needles in him, and they just and I know this isn't how acupuncture needles work. They're really thin and flimsy. They would break, but in this one, all of the needles just impale him as he falls backwards onto the floor with his entire back covered in needles.
Wild. Those movies are just out of pocket.
The thing about those movies that got me every time was the one quick death that they did in every movie. You know what I mean? It would always be these long drawn out scenes, and then one of the people would just a wrench hits a cog in factory, flies across, kills him mid-scene. Done.
Yeah.
There's no setup. That one would always be the one that freaked me out the most.
Simon, check out this Bill Belichick quote. If this isn't the most Bill Belichick quote I've ever heard, the Jets are the Jets. They have their way of doing things. Right now, the Jets are the Jets.
I'm not sure I agree with him.
They have a different way of doing it right now. It's certainly not their own way.
It's the Jets. The
Jets are the
Jets. Bill Belichick, it's like he just makes a mockery of the press conference process every time he's up there. It's not enough to not give answers. He wants to make them feel bad for the questions that were asked. He wants every reporter to leave there and go home and lay in bed and be like, I can't believe I asked Bill that.
Why did I ask that?
Why did I even bother asking that stupid question to Bill freaking Belichick? I should have known better.
Did it anyway. I walked right into the trap again.
Do you think he writes these responses himself, or do you think he has someone feeding them into his ear, from an AI generator?
I think that's the more likely scenario. This is an AI generator.
Actually, it's not even full AI. It's just the autofill. It's the autofill segment, or the autofill on the iPhone keyboard. He's just got someone doing it.
The Jets are the Jets. Okay. All right.
That is very fill in the keyboard themselves. I saw a TikTok yesterday, JL. It was misogyny check, type women are on your keyboard and see what it fills it into. And this guy screen recorded himself doing it, and it just turned into women are mommy, I love mommy, mommy, I love mommy, mommy love mommy. And very quickly it just turned into I love mommy over and over and over again that his iPhone was making him say.
That is hilarious.
I think he passed. I think he passed the check.
I think he passed. I am mommy.
Dude loves his mommy. Also, Tommy, Craig letting me know that it was not an insult. It is a common term for a government operative or spy, not intended to be offensive when used that way. CIA?
No.
I retract my apology. In fact, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Bringing awareness to your cause.
Exactly. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
What were you saying about Tommy, JL?
Tommy said, Bill Belly in the Jets. Billy in the Jets. I don't think I nailed the execution on that one, but I tried. Billy in the Jets.
Was that supposed to be a song?
Billy and the Jets.
There we go. Nailed it. You found it, Jay. I was like, I know it's in there somewhere. But I couldn't quite place it.
Nailed it.
It's
nailed it.
If you print out the chorus to a well-known song, I can get it. But whenever people pull individual lines, I've done quizzes online where they pull lines of a song and you have to put the next one. It'll be a song I've heard a million times, but not having it sang and having it independently of the rest of the song just makes it seem like a weird sentence usually. Know what I mean?
Can't navigate it?
It'll just be a weird sentence. It'll just be jealousy turning Into the sea? Like, what is that mean? like
Cruising lullabies. I know exactly what song you're singing,
like
Simon.
what the hell is that? Like, you just pull these lyrics out and they make no sense individually.
You're right, Simon. We should maybe we'll make that into a game, like a finish the lyrics type of thing.
Yeah, they should make that a TV game show too. Something where you have to go and like they give you the lyrics, then you have to finish them.
Brady to do it.
Yeah, they should get Wayne Brady to host a show where they play part of a song and then you have to finish the lyrics. I don't know what they would call it though.
Finish song.
Fast guy finish song.
Fast guy finish song. We got Jeff in the chat. Said, good morning, FYF fam. Good morning, Jeff. Welcome in. Glad you are here, my friend. Simon, other news, Andy Reid talking about his running back usage. He said they're going to continue going running back by committee. They're working through, quote unquote, trying to get CEH touches as well as after he played just 4 snaps. Reid noted it was the circumstances of the game, not the strategy change. Does this make you feel any sort of way? I know you were kind of buying back into CEH a little bit here. We got the rug ripped out from under us this weekend.
Yeah, not after last week. I wasn't. That was pulled away from me pretty quickly. No, this is just
coach speak.
This is coach speak. They gave the job to Isaiah Pacheco, and Andy Reid's just giving us some good old fashioned.
CEH. We gave the job to Isaiah.
Dude got 4 snaps. Know what I mean? Like, they weren't like, that's not circumstantial. That's getting benched, right? Like, that's not like, oh, the game got away from us. Isaiah had the hot hand. Like, 0 touches, 4 snaps, 2 targets, didn't catch either one of them, not a single carry. Like, that's not figuring it out with CEH. Like, you didn't even try to figure it out. You just put his ass on the bench and said, Isaiah Pacheco, congratulations. You're the starting running back for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
Tommy said the circumstance is he is not good. That's the circumstances that they're working for with CEH, maybe.
This is sad. I mean, I feel like at this point, is it time to just give up hope, Dynasty, Simon, for CEH?
It's hard to give up hope on a first-round running back, right? Like one that, and also has done positive things for fantasy, right? Like he hasn't been bad for fantasy. He hasn't been necessarily what people hoped, but he's been very startable the past couple seasons. Redraft, you're definitely giving up. I don't think you can give up in Dynasty. You're probably just holding, right? Because you're not going to trade him for anything that's worth anything right now. Like you probably, get a 3rd round rookie pick back in return?
Yuck.
Maybe a second. Do you think you could get a second for CEH? People value their seconds, especially next year.
I think you can get a second in a 1 QB league for CEH.
Would you trade him away for a second?
Probably, yeah.
Would you trade him away for a 3rd?
No.
So that's my line. I'm right there with you, Jail. If I can get a second for him, I'm trading him away. If I can't, I'm just holding. He's a 1st-round talent. Maybe he ends up on a different team. Maybe this does become a timeshare where they split carries, and that's still valuable in a Kansas City offense. But, man, it's gross. It's gross for these running backs there if he does end up getting more work.
Yeah, it is. It is very gross.
Yeah, and Hal's saying he could get traded. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're not going to get at least a second, you got to just hold. He's a 1st-round talent, and he could end up in a new situation. We see that change all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Spooky in here. I didn't realize because we saw it. I saw Jeff's comment on the restream chat. I didn't realize it was Jeff Milner, our guy.
What up, Jeff?
It was a different Jeff. So I saw it was Jeff M. I didn't see the picture. Spooky in here asks, hey, fellas, I stashed OBJ. What are your thoughts on this move? Worth it? When do you think realistically we'll see him back on the field? He has been cleared to come back. If I understand the situation correctly, he has been cleared to come back, and there are several teams that are interested in him. I think this is a matter of just when he signs. So I think it's a good move to stash him if you have the room on your bench. What are your thoughts on stashing OBJ, Simon?
Yeah, we saw him last year come onto a team and make an impact immediately. I know this is different. He's coming back from injury instead of just going to a new team mid-season. But the dude's a baller. Like, the dude can play, and whenever he's active and healthy, he's probably going to be a fantasy contributor on whatever team he ends up on. Like, there's very few teams in the NFL where you plug in OBJ and he's not fantasy relevant. That being said, I still think you got a couple weeks. Like, even if he signs today, I know he was cleared to come back. I think you're still waiting at least 2 weeks to see OBJ on the field. So it's really do you have the room? Hold on to him. He's a great person to hold on to. But if like bye weeks are hitting you rough, I know we're going to hit week 14 buys with 6 teams. We got 4 teams on bye this week. He's fine to drop. Like, I'm okay with it. I don't think he's a league winning type of player.
I think we're going to see, I think the teams that are rumored to be interested in him are high power teams trying to make a move past the post trade deadline here, especially teams that are desperate to make a playoff run. And it feels like there's a number of them. And so we saw a ton of trade activity right before the deadline this year. If he signs to the Bills, you're hyped, right? You're hyped on OBJ. What does he become for you, Simon?
Back end wide receiver too.
Back end wide receiver. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good. Like, and I didn't want to sound like a Debbie Downer when I said that, but this offense is still going to primarily run through Stephon Diggs, like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. There's room for a wide receiver too in this passing offense, but I don't think they're going to support 2 wide receiver ones. And he's coming back off a pretty major injury. They're probably going to slow roll him into it. But yeah, that's exciting to have him in that offense, right? With Josh Allen slinging him the ball. Would you rather he goes to Buffalo? Like, what do you think's better for fantasy? OBJ goes to Buffalo. He's the wide receiver 2, clearly behind Stephon Diggs. Or he signs with the Giants, reunion with the Giants. Daniel Jones throwing him the ball, but he's very clearly the wide receiver 1 on that team if he signs there.
The Bills. He's more valuable in the Bills. High-powered offense. I'd rather have him on that team, even if he's the second option.
Give me him on the Giants, I think. I would love
Archie Manning was I just saw he was trying to make it happen.
Archie Manning, I did see that. What was the article that I saw about that? He said he wants to see a reunion. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
That would be.
It'd be like the prodigal son coming back. Like, he did not want to be there. He left, and now the prodigal son returns. I'm pretty sure that's what that story was about.
I think it's about OBJ.
I read it.
Yeah.
It was about Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the parables in the Bible about Odell Beckham Jr. JL, I saw a report yesterday. We've been getting questions about Kyler Murray, whether he was going to play this week or not. And it's looking like he's likely going to miss another week. NBC Sports Edge saying Kyler could miss another week or so. And Cliff Kingsbury's comments were equally as non-committal, but not purely optimistic, saying he's kind of day-to-day, could miss another week. If you've got Kyler Murray, are you planning? If you've got Kyler Murray, are you planning on finding a different option to start this week?
Yeah, I am. This is alarming. I think the expected outlook is that he's probably not going to play. And so you got to be finding another option. If you're in one QB league, there's plenty of options in the waiver wire.
And they have their bye in week 13. The Cardinals do. So really, you're not going to have him this week, most likely. Maybe he plays next week, but then he's on bye again in week 13. That's rough. So you need to find another backup quarterback option that's going to be good for both of those weeks right now. So head to that waiver wire, try to find someone that you're going to be able to play week 11 and week 13 whenever they're on bye. Man, these late season buys are brutal, aren't they? Like, just really absolutely brutal. And week 14, it's going to decide so many fantasy leagues this year, week 14. The Falcons, the Bears, the Packers, the Colts, the Saints, and the Commanders all on bye in week 14.
Brutal.
Man, it's just such a downer for Justin Fields, like with what he's done over the last 5-6 weeks. And then you're going into the playoffs, bye in week 14. And I believe he has the Packers, but then in week 16 and 17, the Eagles and the Bills. Like you've got this guy who has been like borderline league winning, where he comes in, you drafted him late. It's that late round quarterback that's blowing up, started out slow and just had this coming out party, multiple number 1 performances, even more top 5 performances. And then he's got, in the last 4 weeks of the season, he has a bye and then 2 of the top defenses in the league.
Absolutely brutal. And Craig said, not brutal if you play week 18 like you should.
Oh,
Craig, a week 18er?
Boo.
Boo.
I will say week 18 has become a little bit more relevant with the expansion of the playoffs, because more teams are in the hunt at the end down there, and with the elimination of one of the buys, right? Sure. So there's more teams playing for the bye in week 18, and there's more teams playing for their playoff spot in week 18 than there used to be. But still, you still got teams that have made it, and those teams usually have like superstars on their team that they're resting. So I'm anti week 18.
We got Kevin in the chat. What up, Kevin? Says sup.
Watson, what up, Kevin?
Pittman, Curtis Samuel. Which one this week? PPR. Which of these guys are you starting this week, Simon?
That's tricky.
Chi.
And what I try to do every time I see a Michael Pittman question, though, is make sure that I'm not just counting Michael Pittman out, because the expectations for him are much lower than they were earlier in the season. But my reaction is to completely go away from Michael Pittman whenever I see these. But I do think he's the answer here, especially with Matt Ryan playing. I know they've got a tough matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's the one I trust the most out of these players. I think after that, it would be Curtis Samuel as my next bet. I know he was showing up on the injury report with a shin injury, but he's got a nice matchup against Houston, and he's been getting peppered with targets. And Taylor Heineke's still going to be the starter. So what we've seen with Curtis Samuel from Taylor Heineke, we're going to keep getting. Watson's going to be my last just because I don't trust it as much. We saw a big game. I'm not chasing those points. So it's going to be Michael Pittman for me, Curtis Samuel second, Christian Watson third. But Pittman's the guy who wins out for me.
I'm with you, Simon. I would go that order as well. I'm high on Watson this week, but not that high. Not Pittman high.
You got trust in Watson?
I do. I think that he's going to carve out a substantial role in this offense. I think what we're seeing is a breakout of a rookie wide receiver. So yeah, absolutely.
So we had another question coming here in the chat, JL. This one from Luca. Luca wanted to know start one, stash one. Tyler Conklin, Trey McBride, Logan Thomas, Greg Dulcich, and Robert Tonyan. So one of these guys needs to be started, wants to stash one of them. Who are you starting out of that bunch?
I'm starting Greg Dulcich.
Yep, Greg Dulcich is the start for me as well. He's got the safest volume, and he's going up against Vegas, which is a decent matchup. Greg Dulcich has been getting the work done since he's been back from injury. Dude's a pivotal part of this offense. You got to throw him in there. Are there any of these names that scream out as a stash? Tyler Conklin, Trey McBride, Logan Thomas, or Robert Tonyan?
Stash. Out of this group here, any of these guys a stash? I mean, I think Robert Tonyan could be a stash. I'm not super confident that he's going to jump up in value or change that much. But if this Green Bay offense is able to turn it around in the second half of the season, Tonyan's going to be a beneficiary of that. I know you and Coop are big Logan Thomas guys. I'm not as hyped about stashing him. Tyler Conklin, not really. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that New York Jets offense, and doesn't feel like the most generous offense either.
No, I'm not. None of those other names scream I must stash them. If you've got the bench space and you can stash one, I don't know, I guess stash. Like, what's the upside with Logan Thomas so far this year? We haven't quite seen it. He's not the Logan Thomas that we've seen in previous years where he's playing 100% of the snaps. He's capped out at a little bit above 70% this year. And that's where his value came from, that he was on the field 100% of the time. Even when he wasn't getting targets, you had trust, like he was running the routes. That's not happening anymore. Robert Tonyan, it's a touchdown or bust kind of play usually. So, like, what's the stash there? Just as a backup. I guess if I had to pick one of those guys, throw Conklin or McBride on your bench. Conklin, he can have those big blow-up games. So if you need to fill in, you can throw him in. And then McBride is a rookie, right? Like, maybe he develops down the course of the season and you see a guy with a late season breakout. I'm not expecting it. That generally doesn't happen with tight ends. So I wouldn't prioritize.
I left out McBride. I left out McBride, but that maybe he is a stash for that reason. The Zach Ertz injury, Simon. I think that probably does put him above these other guys.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that I'm stashing if I have to stash one of these people. I see Fantasy Dog in the chat. What's up, Fantasy Dog? Welcome in. Glad to have you here.
And Albert, good morning. Good morning, Albert. Welcome in.
What up, Albert? Luke had another question for us. She said, I got offered Adams, Kittle, and Warren for Evans, ETN, and Sutton, half PPR. So Devontae Adams, George Kittle, and Jalen Warren for Mike Evans, Travis Etienne, and Cortland Sutton.
So Etienne, Adams are basically a wash in my mind. George Kittle for Evans. I'd rather have Evans. And Warren for Sutton. I'd rather have Sutton. I'd rather have the Evans, Etienne, Sutton side of this.
I think I'm with you. That trading away a running back of that caliber and not getting one that's even startable back in return is really difficult in this trade.
At this point in the season, that's a tough sell.
Yeah, that's a tough sell. I think I'm with you, JL. I'm not sure I can make that trade.
Yeah.
Can't
Also,
do it. Can't
what
do
a
it.
baller name, Luca Magic. Like, sounds amazing. Whatever it is.
I bet they are a Dallas Mavericks fan, and they're just referring to the magic that is Luca on that Dallas
makes
Mavericks
sense.
team.
That makes sense.
Maybe. Fantasy Doc said, according to Fantasy Docs, they might use a medical zip tie to fix Cup. Heel will be 100%. I think I'm going to cut him because LA will shut him down. Your thoughts? Is that a real thing,
Yeah.
a medical zip tie?
I don't think so.
Do you think you can cut Cooper Cup?
Yeah.
You can drop him?
And then you could re-get him with a zip tie, medical zip tie. I think I would be dropping Cooper Cup at this point. I can't imagine that he comes back and is valuable to your team. There are some leagues where it doesn't make sense. If there's no one there, I'm not dropping him just because. But if there are other options, there's like Christian Watson on the waiver. I'd be dropping Cooper Cup for Christian Watson. Would you do that, Simon?
I don't know of a single player in my IR spot that's more valuable to me than Cooper Cup. You know what I mean? Just on the potential that he's back for championship week. I don't think he will be. I think he's shut down the rest of the year. I think there's like a less than 5% chance. But if you've got an IR spot, I don't think there's a single player right now that's injured that would be more valuable in that spot to me than Cooper Cup.
If you have an IR spot, you got to throw him in there. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what
I was assuming there was no IR spot, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
If there's no IR spot and you got to make room, you can make room by dropping Cooper Cup. That's fine. Just I'm not trying to. I'm purposely trying to avoid it, going out of my way to avoid it.
Hal said Conklin tore up New England last time. What about this week? What are your thoughts on Conklin this week, Simon, going up against New England?
I think he's startable. I don't think you expect another crazy tear up game from him. He's not on like his target share isn't necessarily guaranteed in this offense each week. He's startable. You could get a top 12 week from him, but he's not someone I'm trying to force into my lineups to chase the points from the last time they played.
It's a good matchup, but yeah, he just doesn't have, unless he's getting this touchdowns, he's like 2 touchdown weeks where he's going to pop off and give you a ton. I think he's just part of the glob, even in a plus matchup here with New England.
Glob. Welcome to the glob.
Welcome to the glob. And then I'll also have a follow-up question here. You gentlemen think Andrews starts this week?
So Andrews was a limited participant at practice yesterday. Like he got in some limited work. That's a good sign. If I had to guess, I'm going to guess he plays, but watch the practice reports. I'm not going to feel comfortable unless he gets in a full practice before this weekend, right? Like I want to see full participant Thursday or Friday, today or tomorrow, and then I'll be comfy playing Mark Andrews. With the limited information we have right now, I'll say, yep, probably. Limited participant on Wednesday is a good sign for a player coming back from injury, but full participant Thursday or Friday is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm with you, Simon. So definitely keep an eye on that.
And if you guys like with those questions, whenever you're looking that stuff up, I used to struggle finding it. Just type in team practice report on Google. Know what I mean? They update it later in the day, but you can pull it up. Every team has one through their team site where they tell you which players were limited participants, which ones didn't play, and then players that got full practices in as well that were maybe on the injury report.
Yeah, no, that is a good tip. It's worth seeing because that information is not always aggregated for you. I see another question in here from Fantasy Dog saying, from Will. What up, Will? Good morning. Said, should I start Watson tonight or wait to see if Keenan Allen plays on Sunday? My other wide receivers are on bye. The latest we have on Keenan Allen and Mike Williams is a big question mark. Vague statements from Brandon Staley and these 2 players here on whether either of them is going to be ready to play this week. I think the best way to approach this is 50-50, right? 50-50 shot. In that case, I'm typically, if your only other option is Watson playing tonight, I'd just Watson.
Play Watson tonight.
Yeah, I'm not taking that risk.
Keenan Allen, and it's first game back as well, right? Like even if he does play, you want to see it on the field first. You want to see that he's going to get a full snap share. So like it's a 50-50 shot with limited upside on the side that you're holding out hope for.
Right.
Now, that being said, we saw Cordero Patterson come back from injury and have a 2 touchdown game. Could have been 3. Like it happens, but I still try to avoid those games whenever possible.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Especially in one where the injury's been like, is he coming back this week? What, maybe next week, maybe next week. Like I'm completely distrustful of this situation until I see it now, because because of the non-committal status or the flip-flop status of Keenan Allen over the past couple weeks.
I'm with you,
Yeah.
Simon.
The LDH reported on Twitter that the new Texans running back, Eno Benjamin, cut by the Cardinals, was sought after on the waivers. The Chiefs, Saints, and Seahawks also put a claim in on him. The Broncos also put in a claim on DB Justin Lane, who went to the Bears with higher priority. So in case you're wondering about Justin Lane and how much teams wanted him, what I wanted to talk about was Eno Benjamin, though. Apparently a lot of teams wanted him, which makes the cutting even weirder. And then did you see, it was the most BS marketing promotional statement from the director of Hard Knocks. Did you see this, JL?
Yeah.
He said, I forget the exact wording of it if I can find it. He said something along the lines of, let's see if I can pull this up. I want it to be exact.
I haven't watched the second episode yet.
It was a director in like an interview. Like he wasn't, yeah, here it is. Hard Knocks director says we will see shocking moment, which led to Eno Benjamin's release from the Arizona Cardinals. He said this on a Cardinals podcast, got on there and said, we will see a shocking moment, which led to the release. Apparently it's not in episode 2. It's going to be in episode 3 or later in this season. It wasn't in the episode that just released, but God, that's so annoying, isn't it? Like this isn't a soap opera. This isn't like your midday drama. This is just a player's career. And you're over here like hyping up like, oh, you better watch. It's going to be shocking what led to this guy getting cut from his NFL team.
Right. We were talking about it yesterday on BYOB, the Eno Benjamin being cut because of his vocal displeasure with his usage in this offense. So I could see there being some drama, there being some smoke.
You gonna yell at Cliff? You gonna take a shit on Cliff's desk? What's he gonna do?
I don't know. Cliff is wild. Cliff is just like, I'm fascinated by this man now. I'm fascinated by people I don't fully understand. Are just like weird. And now after watching like a little bit of him behind the scenes, I'm like fully bought in. Like what is this dude?
As someone who hasn't watched, what about him is unreadable?
He's just like this like bachelor NFL coach. He's got like, his whole focus is work and the way he thinks about things. Like he grew up around football, and like the moves he's making are really good, but he just eats, sleeps, thinks about football. Like he wakes up, goes into work, comes home late at night. He's just like super focused, but he's super rich and has like super modern home. It's just everything about this man is interesting.
He's married to the game.
He's married to the game.
Married to the game. He could be living in a 1-bedroom apartment. It doesn't matter because he's at work. He's getting it done.
He's just focused. Focus on being head coach.
Also, Tommy said we talk ball all day and create game scripts. We are all about the drama.
Yeah,
we are all about. You're right. I live for the drama. I find drama where there isn't drama. Like Leanne and I watch House Hunters International, and just the whole time we're like creating narratives about the people's marriage and about the stories and like what happened and what led to where they are and where they're moving. We generate the drama whenever it's not given to us in TV shows.
I like it. You have to sometimes. Speaking of Cliff Kingsbury, he said there's a chance that wide receiver Hollywood Brown could play this week, is the exact wording he used. He added the team will see how the wide receiver moves around at practice before making a decision. Another situation to probably keep your eye on going into this week. But once he's back, Simon, are you hyped for Marquise Brown? Like, what is he? Before he got injured, he was on a ridiculous pace for targets. He was getting like 14 targets a game or something like that. Are you expecting something similar? DeAndre Hopkins is back. How does that situation for Marquise Brown here, fantasy-wise?
Marquise Brown's not the only guy in town now whenever he comes back. He's still going to be great for fantasy. I am excited. But I'm excited
Hopkins
for like a wide receiver too. DeAndre Hopkins is in town now. Dude's going to command a pretty big target share. But we've seen Cliff likes to spread the ball around, right? Hyper-targeting a receiver isn't generally what he likes to do with this offense. So I expect DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown to be pretty heavily involved. Marquise Brown probably a mid to high-end wide receiver too in this offense if they can keep it rolling, as long as Kyler's playing.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think wide receiver 2 is right where he feels comfortable, like the back end of the wide receiver 2 category, rest of the season.
I'm with you. Tommy wants to know, if you were married to the game, which team would be your spouse? Joe, which team would be your spouse?
Probably the Chargers because they're hot.
Mine would probably be the Dolphins because they're hot.
Because they're hot.
And they're exciting.
And you speak their language.
and their colors are pretty.
You sound like a seagull that's just in rocket power.
What do they say in rocket? Woogity, woogity,
Woogity,
woogity,
woogity,
woogity. I was like,
Jeez.
I started making the noise before my brain had decided what it was, but I was like, I know it's in there and it's going to just come
As
out.
a staple.
Man, Rocket Power, what a good show. Was that a Nickelodeon show?
Show.
That was
Yeah.
Nick, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't weird
Nickelodeon.
enough to be Cartoon Network. It wasn't like slightly demonic enough to be a Cartoon Network show from that time period.
Yeah.
Like Invader Zim,
Low-key darkness of
Courage the
Cartoon
Cowardly
Network.
Dog, Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy. Like they were all like a little bit dark. Whoever was
Someone
writing
was
the
going-
shows was
Someone was going
depressed.
through something. Yeah.
Yeah, they had some shit happen. They were like a children's TV job, and then their life crashed around them, and they're like, "Darkness comes for us all.
Darkness
We
comes
must
for us.
start at
Courage
a
the
young
Cowardly
age."
Dog.
Hal said I'd be married to the Raiders. I like a fixer-upper with serious edge.
A serious edge.
Yeah, the
They
Raiders
do
got
have
that
edge. They are the edge lords of the NFL.
Also, Fantasy Dog in the chat saying, "Oh my, what was that? Y'all got a parrot? I was listening, not watching."
Yep, that's a Barrett. That's our resident Barrett.
There is no way in hell, I'm going to let everyone know now, that I would ever let a parrot into my house. I'm terrified of them.
Not a big bird guy. Not a big bird guy.
They're too smart and they're too pointy. They got points all over them. Their beak, their feet.
And
That's
I feel
really
like
it.
their one party trick just gets old real quick. Like
I
I
don't
get
know.
it. You talk a lot, but you don't say anything really that important.
I can watch videos of birds talking and singing and doing tricks all day, but I do not want to be near one.
That
Like,
would,
I'm
that
so
would be
impressed.
a nightmare for my attention span. If like all of a sudden this randomly was saying sentences that I had to comprehend, like while thinking other things, be like, what did you just say? Oh, you said grocery is in the dirt hole, of course, because you're a bird.
Have you seen the bird on TikTok that can identify what different things are made out of? He can do glass, metal, and wood. Like his
You on
owner
that bird TikTok? You on that
Yeah,
the avian TikTok?
I got avian TikTok, bird TikTok, 100%. Because I like those
I don't mess
videos.
with birds.
I'm scared of them. I'm terrified of them. I do not want
I
to be
told you
near
my
them.
crow. You know my crow story, don't you?
No, probably, but I forgot.
In Seattle, there's a lot of crows in Seattle. It's like a thing. A bunch of merch you'll see in Seattle. It's crows on it. It's like they own it. They love it. They're everywhere. They're downtown. They're really annoying. And so I'm walking back. I got my Mediterranean lunch. I'm walking back to my apartment, and I see this crow. It's like on top of a little windowsill or something, and it's it's incessantly cawing. And so I'm like, feeling myself. I got my lunch. I'm good. I look up. I'm like, I'm gonna mess with this bird. And so I'm like,
Oh no.
I start whistling. I start like whistling to try and get its attention so it'll shut up. And it just stops. It goes, looks straight down at me. And then I'm like, ha, got him. Walk like 3 feet. All of a sudden, whoosh, crow comes down, dive bombs me. And I'm like, oh shit, what's happening?
Yo,
and I like
crows?
haul ass out of there. The crow 100% knew I was messing with him and came and got vengeance. And I respect
Well, just so you know, that crow
you
will remember you too.
Oh,
like that's like a thing. Crows remember. Like if people help a crow out or feed it or something, they'll bring you presents. And if you piss a crow off, they will torment you. They will take your things. They will dive bomb you. Like that's why you don't mess with
Terrifying.
birds. They're too smart. They're too damn smart. And they have a
trust 'em.
tongue.
Don't trust them.
There should not be a tongue inside a beak. That is disgusting.
There
Like
should not
just
be a tongue inside a beak.
when they open their beak and that little like squirmy little worm tongue pokes out, I want to vomit every single time.
What's your take on squids? Because squids are basically birds of the sea.
I don't.
They have a beak and a tongue.
They're fine because they stay in their lane.
They stay deep.
Yeah, I don't encounter
They stay
squids
in
very
their
often.
lane.
Know what I mean? Like they know, like, you know what? I'm just not going to
Fair.
mess with these guys. And I don't know how smart squids are. Never looked into that one. Do they have the intelligence
I
of a
think they're
bird?
really smart. Birds.
You think so? A
Yeah.
squid?
I think squids are pretty intelligent.
What's the name for that type of animal? Like a squid, an octopus? There's like a specific like type of a cephalopod.
Rhododendron. Cephalopod sounds way more right.
We both said rhododendron or cephalopod, and both of those words, I think neither one of us is confident in what they mean, and it could be either
I think
one.
rhododendron
Like,
might be a plant or a bush, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Tommy said it's Squidward is the name of it.
Squidward.
Yeah. Yes, of course, Squidward.
Scott Fish said, my wife is a ornithophobe. I don't know that you should be admitting that on YouTube. Hyperventilates if she gets too close to one in a pet store. A bird, I'm assuming? Is that what an
A bird.
ornithopode?
Yeah, because an ornithologist, I think, studies birds.
Interesting.
I may have just made that up.
we say many things confidently.
Yeah, ornithology, the study of birds, 100% accurate. The study of horns.
Of horned birds.
Joe, did you see the Saints are sticking with Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback per the team? This came from Dov Kleiman. Red Riffle getting another start.
Red Riffle getting another start. RIP Jameis Winston and all of his Legos. I know a lot of people were hyped. I felt like there was a little bit of a swell, just the slightest sense of a swell for Jameis Winston coming back and being the guy. And it feels like that's all but squashed now.
Well, it's just going to take one more pick. No, like I really think that's where we are with Andy Dalton. I would bet a little bit of money, not a lot because I don't have a lot, but I'd make a good old fashioned $5 bet with someone that Jameis Winston gets in at some point during this next game. It seems like Andy Dalton's on that line of losing his starting job. They're going up against the 49ers. It is a tough matchup. I expect them to be losing. Dalton makes a bad mistake. Here comes Jameis to make his own bad mistake and lose the game in his own special way. Dustin said, I'll take that bet. And Tommy said, are they tanking for quarterback in the draft? Man, we keep talking about that, but like only 2 teams are going to win this tank for these 2 quarterbacks, right? For CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. Like, I feel like we got to stop saying it for every team because only so many teams are going to get there. And there's a lot of teams competing for those spots, for those bottom spots. I don't think the Saints are bad enough. I don't think they're a bad enough team to get one of those first 2 picks. And I don't think if like the Lions and the Raiders have those first 2 picks, or the Lions and the Texans, you are not getting those picks from them for anything less than the biggest trade in NFL history. Like right. Those picks are going to be so highly valued. And these teams have to know that. Like the Saints, I don't think realistically think that they're going to get a top 2 draft pick and land CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. I just don't believe it.
I don't think that's reasonable either, Simon. I'm with you. I think the other teams are there's plenty of other teams that are worse than them right now.
Do you think they have a chance of winning this game against the 49ers?
Yeah, they could. I think we could see a mix-up game. What does Vegas have the line at here?
$1 million.
$1 million.
That's how lines work. No, the Saints are actually they're playing in the Rams this week, not the 49ers. That's my bad.
That makes more sense.
So they're actually favorites, 3.5-point favorites. And that makes the what was I looking at? I think I was looking at their schedule for next week. This makes Andy Dalton starting make a little bit more sense too, right? This Rams team is beatable. They feel safer with Andy Dalton. Maybe they give him another chance here with the Rams. Yeah. So yes, I think they can win this game, JL, against the Los Angeles Rams without Cooper Kupp, who have been absolutely abysmal so far this year.
Spooky season has a great point in here. I first thought of Scott Fish because he's usually the keeper of the Eagles draft picks historically. I don't know why I remember that. But he says, Spooky Season says they can't tank when Eagles have the Saints pick currently at number 4.
God, the Eagles, 8-1, like best record in the NFL, Super Bowl contenders, and they've got the number 4 overall pick from the Saints still in this draft. That's scary.
Yeah, I guess we don't know if it's number 4.
Right now it is. I'm just saying, like, even to have that pick, it's not going to be a pick past 16. These Saints aren't making the playoffs, I don't think, unless something crazy happens down the stretch.
Yeah. Speaking Season also asks us, between the 2 of you, who has the better fantasy team this season?
Which league? In the Guillotine League, it's definitely me.
It's definitely you. Although
because
I could have had the better team. I could have had the better team, but the dumber manager who can't set their lineup.
Yeah. And I guess I don't have the better team in there because you don't even have a team in the Guillotine League anymore.
Now I don't. Yes.
I'm the only one with a team. In our Dynasty Leagues. Yeah. I will say I'm the defending champion in both of our main Dynasty Leagues, JL. I won both of them last year. That trophy's sitting right behind you. Yeah, that's my trophy behind you.
It's mine. Come and get it. You're doing well actually in both of them. You're 8-2 in one of them, and I don't know what you are in the other one.
I got a good team.
6-4.
Got a good record. That one's fine. That's all you need, though.
You're beating me significantly.
That's okay.
So
You're
I
probably
think I think this year we can safely say you are the better fantasy player.
in 2022
2022.
and in 2021, but not in 2020 when you won the championship. We had a question come in here. Jeff said just traded Geno and Schultz for Lamar. A+ move. I'm cool with it. I think Schultz is fine to give up to get a quarterback. I'm not huge on giving up assets to get a quarterback and one QB, but Lamar is one of those guys that I'm comfortable giving up those trades for.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, Simon.
Absolutely.
See,
also, go ahead, Joe.
We got another question from Dennis in here. Said, guys, grade my trades. I'm proud. Half PPR. I traded Garrett Wilson for T. Higgins, Zeke and Lazard
So
for
the first one was just Garrett Wilson for T. Higgins. Was
Okay,
the
that
first one. They're
makes
separated by commas.
Thank you, guys. Zeke and Lazard for Fields, Kyler Murray for Gabriel Davis, and got Deshaun Watson as an insurance cause in case of Fields' playoff schedule. How you feel about those trades, Simon? Start with Garrett Wilson for T. Higgins.
A+ if you got T. Higgins.
Yeah, A+ if you're a T. Higgins side. Zeke and Lazard for Fields.
It's quite a bit to give up.
Yeah, one QB league. I don't like trading for QBs like that, personally.
That being said, Fields has been a game breaker. Like, know what I mean? He hasn't just been good. He has been a little bit broken for fantasy with the amount of rushing he's getting. 147 yards, 178 yards. He's got a decent schedule until the playoffs. And then in the fantasy championships, he's playing the Detroit Lions again, which he had an absurd game against last time. I'm fine with it. I think it's a lot, but especially with the Zeke injury and the Lazard injury, even though he's been playing, I'm fine with this. Not as hyped about it as I was for the first one.
Yeah, the first one is slam dunk. That one, not as hyped about. And then Kyler Murray for Gabe Davis.
It's fair.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I think you could probably could have got more value, but understand it if given your other moves that you're making. And then getting Deshaun Watson's great. Great to have.
Overall, I think your team is better after these moves. You added T. Higgins, your quarterback. You got Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson. That's an upgrade. And then you add a Gabriel Davis for free, basically. Like whenever I'm just looking at the big picture of it, it's cool. You're good to go with that.
It is cool. And Jay Felicio said squid is delicious. They are government drones spying on us, but they're delicious.
The birds are government drones spying on us, but squids are delicious. Just don't tell me I'm eating squid. Just call it calamari. Know what I mean? Just say like calamari. You have to say it fancy. I used to be so squared of it. I used to be so scared of eating squid. But then I tried it and I was like, oh, it's just like chewy, yummy chicken. It's just like salty, yummy, and fried. It just tastes like fried and it's a little bit chewy. Guys, coming up, we are going to talk a little bit about this Thursday night football game. And we've got a new game today that we're playing called Press Conference. We're going to be playing the match game a little bit later today as well with our friend Maria. And then we've got our Thursday night football prop bet draft. And we're going to put together a DFS lineup for week 11 as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network. Moose and Keith.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first kind of, where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah until he was about 19.
Nice.
So,
your wife did a good job.
Yeah, you may want to talk to your wife. I would say about 13, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required, and then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
You don't need to be like right 100% of the time.
No, there was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to like, track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out, what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we can probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then like immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have
satellite. Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you like, first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry, couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have like, satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
And I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's like, and not to mention like that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball like right into his face, right? Like he's coming over to spot it, and it's like every other time the player's just like, here you go, here's another thing to juggle.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Is it me, Ray, or is the only publicity that Microsoft Surface has gotten out of their whole thing on the sideline is people throwing them to the ground in anger? Like, is that just a me thing? Or the only time I hear about this device, Ray, is when somebody is chucking it on the ground, just pissed off at it. Which I get it. All of us are in that world. We love to do that. Only in the NFL, Ray, can they get away with it because these are free. There's no cost. It's part of the sponsorship. Here's 5,000 Microsoft tablets to get you through the NFL season. And these players, Ray, just slamming up tablets. It's like they've become Gilbert on the sideline, and they're so frustrated. They're just like the only publicity this company and this product has gotten is negative.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I didn't forget the name of the show. You forgot the name of the show.
I did forget the name of the show. I
had
thought
a
it was
moment-
morning fun time.
There was actually a moment where I said, welcome back to the...
Oh no, who
What
am
are
I?
you doing? What is this show? What? Like, I just completely blanked on what the name was. It's Front Yard Fantasy, and then it's the morning. It's a pretty
Front Yard
self-explanatory
Fantasy.
show
Be your
title.
Front Yard Fantasy. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show.
And it is definitely the morning. It is bright and early.
Oh,
6:57
butt crack of dawn.
a.m.
Booty crack of dawn.
How do you feel about it being dark outside earlier, JL? I've seen most people are pissed about it with daylight savings time ending. Like, it gets dark at like 5:30 or 6 p.m.
Yeah.
here now.
It sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. Just why does it have to be so dark?
Oh, I like it. I like
Why?
it. I like that.
You
Because
like
I'm
the dark?
up when the sun comes up, so I get all the daylight hours anyways. And then when I'm starting to get tired, when like my day's starting to come to a wrap, the sky agrees with me. And it
Sky
says,
agrees with me.
instead of the sky being like, nope,
We
it's
got
still
you,
daytime.
Simon.
Like, I felt guilty for climbing into bed at 9 p.m. when it was still like the sun was out, like when there was light coming in from my windows. Now there is zero guilt whenever I go in at like 8:30 p.m. and roll into bed. I got my computer with me, you know what I mean? Like, I got stuff in there ready to go, but there's no guilt climbing into bed at 8:30 because it's been dark for hours at that point.
It's weird. It doesn't bother me that much. I just don't prefer it. But it really doesn't impact my day. I pretty much work regardless.
I feel like nighttime is peaceful, and I get nighttime earlier now. Like, I was missing out on nighttime because I go to bed a little bit early, and now I get my full nighttime experience. It just starts at 6 p.m. instead of at 9 p.m.
We had some guesses or some questions, not some guesses. We had some questions here in the chat, Simon, while we were on break. Donald in here. Good morning, Donald. So, do I
What up?
start DeAndre Swift or Deonta Foreman this week? Ooh, what a week.
Yikes.
I know, right? I love these ones where it's like we would have been shocked if we had to answer this in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
that being said, Simon, which of these two guys you starting?
it's Deonta Foreman. It's Deonta Foreman going up against Baltimore. DeAndre Swift going up against the Giants. It's not a bad matchup for either one. Not a matchup where it's like giving me the gusto to like give them the bonus from their matchup.
Gusto.
The gusto.
Who gives you the gusto?
Is it pronounced gusto?
The gusto. I don't know that word applies here, but maybe
the
gusto.
The
bravado.
the like the little like none of these matchups are giving me the like little like
cordon bleu.
Yeah, no chicken cordon bleu for DeAndre Swift or Deonta Foreman this week with the matchups that they have. That being said, I don't trust Swift in that injury and how the Lions are using him right now. He's clearly not fully back, and the Lions are obviously being very careful with him. And they've got a not just competent, but a very good and capable running back in Jamal Williams that can handle the workload if Swift isn't ready. So I'm going Deonta Foreman.
Yeah, I'm with you. The last 3 weeks in which you've seen Foreman really be the showcased running back here. He had 76% of the running back attempts, then 47% and then 74%. And that 47% was the Cincinnati game, in which the game script just totally flipped on Deonta Foreman. In the very beginning,
35-0 at halftime in that game.
Yeah. So Deonta Foreman, 76% of the running back attempts, 74% last week. That's what I want. Give me that.
I remember like that week I was watching Red Zone, and of course, like I saw all the Joe Mixon touchdowns, right? And like, oh yeah, Joe Mixon's got another one. But then for some reason, when I was going through the halftime scores and I saw they were losing 35-0, I was like, excuse me, when did that happen? That is so many points. Like I was just shocked. Even with watching all of the points scored, I didn't quite believe it.
Yeah, that was a wild game. Good question, Donald. Ricky B said, I haven't slept and got school in 2 hours. You got this. You got this, Ricky.
Yep. Ricky.
I like how there's no question. It's just coming in just to let us know.
He's letting us know. Jail, one time when I was getting ready for high school, I had like a really bad headache, like such a bad headache. And I was like, I got to find some medicine. Like I got to take some ibuprofen. And this is when like I was a junior. I was driving myself to school and my sister wasn't in high school yet. So it was just me alone. Like I drive myself to school every day. And I grabbed some Motrin from the cabinet, took 3 of them, which is one more than they say you're supposed to take. Don't recommend doing that. Follow the instructions on your medication bottles, guys. And then I looked at the bottle, JL, and it said Motrin PM. It was the kind that makes you sleepy. It was the drowsy Motrin.
Oh, no.
And I had a massive headache, and I had just taken 3 of them, and I knew I was on a timer. Like I was not ready for school. It was way too early to leave, but I was like, if I do not get in my minivan and drive to school right now, I will not make it. Like it will be a danger for me to get in this car. So I just threw my book bag on, threw a t-shirt on, drove to school, and fell asleep immediately in AP Lang. Just felt like I got in trouble that day. But I like walked in and I told the teacher, like, hey, I accidentally took 3 Motrin PM right before school. I'm going to fall
about
asleep.
to be lit.
Like,
I'm about to start hallucinating.
Like, don't try to keep me up because it's going to be a problem. Just please let me sleep. And luckily he was cool. He was cool with it, but I did get in trouble. Had to like do some stuff after school for that teacher, but he was like, as long as we're cool, like I can't just let you sleep, but like, I'll let you sleep, but you gotta come in after school and we got to do this work.
That's cool.
He was cool about it.
That's a chill teacher. Tim in here said, somebody clip this for when Sad Boy February kicks in.
There is Sad Boy February. It comes every year. That little bit of seasonal depression come around February.
And we got Brandon in here. Said, good morning, y'all. Good morning, Brandon. Good to see you. So should I start Watson tonight or hold off in the scenario Hollywood Brown plays on Monday? PPR format. That's a pretty interesting one. We did have a Watson question earlier. It was Watson or Keenan Allen, in which Simon and I both said, start Watson. Don't worry about it. Don't take on that risk. Marquise Brown, the news is a little more positive for him, but still a risk. And that Monday start, if you don't have a backup, then you're shit out of luck. Simon, what are you doing here?
If you have Rondale Moore or Rondale Moore is on your waiver wire, go for it. Wait, hold out, because Rondale Moore is a great start whenever Marquise Brown isn't out. Not just a good start. Like he should be starting whenever Marquise Brown is out, period. If you don't have Rondale Moore or can't add Rondale Moore, just start Christian Watson. Like there's not enough pieces in that game where I'm necessarily like, that's risky. Monday night makes it extra risky, right? Because there's less options that you can pick up off the waiver wire. And I still don't trust that Marquise Brown is going to play this weekend. I think they're going to be careful with his return because they have DeAndre Hopkins. This offense has been working fairly well. And if Kyler's out. Yeah. Why rush Hollywood Brown back?
I'm with you, Simon. Christian Watson has a pretty good matchup against Tennessee this week. They're giving up the third most points to the wide receiver position in fantasy. Vegas doesn't expect this to be a high-scoring game. They have the total set at 41 with the Packers, the 3-point favorites here. I think we get primetime Aaron Rodgers this week. I think he's going to want to show off against this easier plus matchup for them. I'd just go Christian Watson. And I love the caveat you added, Simon. If you have Rondale Moore, wait. Although with Kyler being out, I'm not even that worried about it. I would just probably lean Christian Watson.
I'll still lean the other way because I do think there's upside on the Marquise Brown play. And this is where, like, Dale, I feel like in most situations I've done such a good job of eliminating my bias. And letting it go through. It seeped through a little bit this year. As a Browns fan, I was entirely out on all Browns players, so I missed on Amari Cooper. That was some like reverse bias sneaking in. But then the one area where I just can't eliminate it is, especially with like the fuel that Aaron Rodgers has dumped on the fire this year, I just keep rooting against him, man. Like I see this game tonight after like they got that big W, and he's like, this sets us on the right track, or at least I hope it sets us on the right track. And I'm sitting there thinking like, maybe not. Maybe you throw 3 picks. Maybe that's what happens tonight, which is rude and hateful and spiteful. And I need to work that out. I got some things I need to work through with Aaron Rodgers.
It is.
Maybe I should call him up after the show.
You should. You know what? Why don't you do it on the show? Have him on. We'll just be the Pat McAfee show.
You know what? Let me call him up real quick.
Aaron.
Oh, that's right. He saved his A baby, not Aaron Rodgers.
Is Green Bay in the Eastern time zone or the Central time zone?
Right. Yep.
Perfect.
They are in either the Eastern or Central time zone, JL. I'm positive of that.
Hallen here asking, in DFS, is Watson going to have an absurd ownership, and is Lazard a good play based off that? He might get some after that week that he had last week. I feel like typically you see tick up, right? People are going to expect that recency bias is going to kick in, so it's probably going to be much higher than Lazard, who didn't have a great game last week. So a lot of casual people are going to be sitting there going, "Is Christian Watson the new guy now?" And you should be able to take advantage of that. A little later on in the show, we're going to do our DFS builds, in which we'll go over some of the salaries and stuff for some of these guys. So we'll revisit that, but I want to see what their salaries are like this week.
Though we are going to do a week 11 DFS build, and the Thursday night game is not included in that. So we won't see. Point. It's just all the
But we
Sunday
can at
games.
least be on. Yeah.
We can take a peek. We can take a peek at the salaries for tonight as well. I wouldn't mind the Lazard play. I'm with you, JL. I think people are going to be chasing the points from Watson. How do you not? He had 3 touchdowns last week. Like, that's fun to try to chase. If he's going to be the dude, then you want that dude. I'm not bought in, though, that we're going to see performances like that each week.
Yeah. Brandon said, thanks, guys. Thank you, Brandon. We love these questions. Great questions from everybody. Keep throwing them in the chat. We will be hitting them throughout the show. And Dustin let us know it is Central Time. Good to know.
Yeah.
So it
also,
is 7:08.
The chat has spoken, Jail, that squids are smarter than birds.
76%, 13 votes from the FYF chat. FYF chat does not miss, so I'll take their word for it.
They're pro squid. They're pro squid for sure.
Yeah.
Yet, I've never heard a squid talk. Explain
That's
that,
true.
science.
You know what? I can't.
Though, talking isn't necessarily a sign of intelligence. Maybe in animals it is, but in people it isn't. No, like I talk a lot. That doesn't make me any smarter.
A lot of the smarter people, I think, talk less.
Thanks.
What does that say about us?
We get on here every morning and just talk for 3 hours. Keith did tell us earlier that squids supposedly can count.
That's terrifying.
What are they counting?
How useful is that? What are they counting down there?
They got squid accountants under the sea.
There are 3.
Oh, you see, it's a bad investment with you've lost all of your shells in the past 6 months. Every shell you own.
We went heavy on bonds this quarter. I think that's a finance thing. That sounds financy.
Stocks.
Stocks.
Finance, bonds, railroad bonds. There we go. What do they? They don't have railroad bonds under the sea, though. What do they have? Shipwreck bonds? Seashell bonds.
It's Shelley's bonds.
Oh, then Hal in here. I was reading that quote and I was like, is he roasting me? But then it's an Abraham Lincoln quote. Said, is it better to be thought a fool? It is better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Oh man, that ship has sailed, hasn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely has.
I
We
already
are
removed-
idiots.
We are idiots. Guys, we are about to play a new game that we are calling Press Conference. John Luke, you want to explain how this game is going to work and then we can get started?
I will absolutely explain. You may have seen this game played on Whose Line Is It Anyway? It is a game inspired by that. What we're going to do is essentially one of us, we're going to take turns here. And on each turn, one of us is going to take off our headphones. The other one is going to tell you who is giving the press conference, who that person is, and what the topic that they're giving the press conference is about. Now, keep in mind, the person giving the press conference or up there answering questions has no idea what it's about. No idea. And so the other hosts, as well as the chat, we're going to rely on you guys to help us answer the person giving the press conference, and they will do their best. And then at the end, they'll try and guess who they are and what they're talking about. Pretty simple.
Let's do it.
All right, Simon, you want to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going to close the comments as well, Jail, in case there's any spoilers thrown in there. Take
Good
my headphones
call.
out.
Take your headphones out, and you can just look at me. I'll give you the double thumbs up when it's time to come back.
Okay, and I'm going to cover your lips so I don't read them either.
Okay, that's fair. All right, his headphones are out. Simon's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to be promising to stop taking. He's giving a press conference promising to stop taking so much ayahuasca before games. All right, so he's Aaron Rodgers, and he is doing a press conference to talk about how he's going to promise to stop taking as much ayahuasca before games. All right, got that, chat? All right, bring Simon back in.
That was a really long name.
It was name and it was context, and I repeated it. So
Okay.
it added up. It added up.
Now I'm
Well-
trying to like reverse engineer based on the amount of time and the context that you were potentially saying.
Well, best of luck. We'll see if it pans out for you. Ready?
Yeah, of course.
I have a question for you, sir. You were so hyped about this prior to the season. You talked about it incessantly, but it seems to be negatively impacting your performance this year. Can you expand on that? Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, you see, I'm negatively impacting my performance is subjective. I'm not positive that what you're referring to is what is causing the negativity on my season so far this year. I've still got it, and we're going to turn it around, and I think that was a positive.
Just how much are you taking every week?
Well, it depends on the week. On the bye week, it's definitely a lot more. It is hard to get my hands on, I believe, especially in the winter. It gets quite cold here, and I believe it's plant-based, so it can be a little bit difficult to get my hands on.
Do your teammates partake as well?
I'm not sure it would be encouraged for me to share that I'm delivering illicit substances to other members of the Green Bay Packers.
We got a question here from Hal in the audience. What positives have come from your recent endeavors to improve?
Yeah, well, I just feel overall more enlightened. It has opened my mind to different possibilities. I see the game of football different from anybody else because there's dimensions out there that none of us can even experience normally.
All right, will you please level with us before the end of this press conference? Are you going to stop? Are you going to stop it right now?
Unless Joe Rogan tells me to, I will never stop.
Simon, you want to guess who you are and what you are supposed to be talking about?
I am the one and only Aaron Rodgers discussing taking ayahuasca in the offseason.
You are absolutely right, but it was you were close. You were actually slightly off. It was promising to stop taking so much ayahuasca before games.
You promised to stop taking so much ayahuasca before games.
Yeah, because it's impacting his performance. And Dustin in here with I wish I would have saw this before we ended. He said, "Does it taste better than clay?" That would have been a dead giveaway. But Simon, you already got it. Well done. That's 2 points for you.
2 points for me. Thank you. I appreciate it, Joe. That was fun. I took a shot, or I was like, is it? And I said Green Bay Packers, try to read your eyes a little bit. Are we on the right path here?
And Hal said, you made that way easy, JL. Well, we'll see. We will see, Hal. It's our first time, so we'll see if it gets any harder here. Simon, you are, I guess I'm up next, so you'll be giving the next delivering the next questions here for our press conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, take your headphones off. Okay, so this next prompt, guys, for JL, he is going to be Patrick Mahomes, and he has just been announced that he is going to be the voice of Kermit the Frog, the new voice of Kermit the Frog. I'm not going to reveal that right away. I'm going to reveal that he's the voice of a cartoon character, or a new character for a children's show, or an existing character for a children's show. And then we will see if he can get there without the specific character. We'll get in there. We'll get in there, though. JL, I said your name and realized you couldn't hear
it's
me.
just nothing than woo.
I said JL, like you would come back whenever I said it. That was the test to see if you were cheating, to see if you were listening.
I'm back.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
I have a question.
You, sir, in the hat.
You have found great success in your football career.
I have.
What led you to wanting to voice a children's character like this?
Really, it started when I was a child. I just loved my voice so much that I just imagined every single child's voice as my own.
Do you use that voice whenever you're in the huddle necessarily, whenever you're leading your team on the field?
Oh, absolutely. I find it really gets the guys going when I use that voice.
Every time?
Every single time. They yell at me if I don't do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, this is a pretty big deal. Is this your biggest deal that you've made outside of football, or do you have a bigger deal that you've made? Maybe a commercial of some sort?
I've made a few big deals in my life. This one is by far the biggest. All of the TV ones were nothing compared to this. This is the biggest moment of my life right here.
Why do you think you were cast for this role? Why do you think they said you specifically for this role?
I think it has something to do with my delicious voice. I think it has to do with my voice. I think nobody else can make the voice that I make.
No one else. Did they give you a specific price just for you whenever you signed this deal? Like, did you have to negotiate down to a specific price specific to you?
Yeah, they made me sign it as an extra clause. Everybody else got double what I got. I had to take half just because of who I am.
Just because of who you are?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Same.
That makes sense. Now, people have you've reached the heights in your football career. Do you think this, like, you have the talent that it takes to reach the heights in this new endeavor, voicing such a popular character, someone that's instantly recognizable?
I think a lot of people have counted me out in my career. And I think a lot of people are going to count me out in this new endeavor. I'm going to be the best voice actor that ever lived. I promise you that.
You were a backup quarterback to start your college career, a backup quarterback to start your NFL career. So you've got that underdog drive in you. Do you take that with you whenever you carry on to new endeavors?
Oh, absolutely. I always have that chip on my shoulder, always just whispering in my ear, little Chip, you little backup, you suck. And then I do the voice back to the voice. It works out.
Do you know who you are? And what are we talking about?
Am I Tom Brady?
You are not Tom Brady.
At first I thought it was Patrick Mahomes. And then I was like, the Kermit voice. And then I was like, I don't know. Who are you talking about?
Patrick Mahomes being cast as the new voice for Kermit the Frog is who you are at this press conference, John Luke.
Wow. So my first thought was right.
You were there. You were on there. I was trying to figure out questions that weren't just about Kermit. I didn't want to say Kermit because immediately that would give it away. But you almost got there, John Luke.
So close. So close. No points for me that round. No points for me, Simon. Any guesses from the chat or questions from the chat?
Tommy said, we know it's not easy being you. How much green did they give you?
How much green did they give you? They gave me all of it. I had to get it all.
Trying to guide you a little bit with the Patrick price as well, like from the State Farm commercials, whenever we were talking about the other deals, a specific price just for you. I was trying to help guide there. I was trying to be subtle, but maybe a little bit too subtle with that clue.
Well, the first one was too easy. This one's too hard. So this is good. We're finding a balance.
Now we'll find the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe. Is it my turn again, John Luke?
It is your turn. Are you ready for your next one? It is 2-0, Simon. All right. All right, chat. Simon is Derek Carr. This one is Simon is Derek Carr. He's warning people to stop asking him if he is wearing eyeliner. He's sick of it. So this is a PSA. Stop asking Derek Carr to wear eyeliner. This is him asking us. All right. He's not looking. Come back, Simon. Come back. Come back. Here we go.
I just zone out, forget what we're doing here, and you're.
I was like, he's not looking. Come back. Come back, Simon. All right. Appreciate you putting this press conference today.
Of course.
And we just have to know, is it real or is it Maybelline?
Are we human or are we dancer? You know, like these are the questions that we get asked every single day. I'm not sure I'm at the liberty to tell you if it's real or fake right now. Maybe we build some trust and I can let you in on that.
Now, every single time we've seen you cry at these press conferences, it doesn't seem to be anything there. But then in every other picture, there seems to be there. So are you taking it on and off for the press conferences, or is this something that stays on all the time?
I present who I am at all times. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm not going to hide emotion that I'm feeling. You can judge it to be valid or not, but that's not really your place to do so. This is what I'm feeling when I'm up there, and I don't owe it to anyone to present my emotions in a specific way.
Dustin in the chat is curious. Do you think you just need more sleep?
You could always use more sleep, but some people don't need the beauty sleep to look as beautiful as I do.
Really? Do you think that your fashion choices are to blame for your recent poor performance?
My fashion choices, probably. I've been putting a lot of time and effort into the way I look pre-game, and I think it could be affecting maybe my mindset. But when the team's doing this poorly, I need a distraction, and looking good is the distraction that helps me.
You big Avril Lavigne fan?
Always have been.
Oh, never won't be.
Shout
is it
out
just
Melissa.
because you are a 90s emo kid, or is there another reason?
I'm also really into conspiracy theories, and the one about Avril Lavigne being replaced by someone midpoint in her career is one that really spoke to me, got me interested in her. While researching for that, I got super into the music as well. I mean,
interesting.
Why'd you have to go and be so complicated? Like, she just speaks to me.
Simon, you want to take a guess at who you are and what you're talking about?
I'm a very emotional Derek Carr speaking about that press conference, right?
You are Derek Carr. You're warning people to stop asking if you're wearing eyeliner.
Oh, okay. It was the eyeliner not running. The 90s emo kid. I got to the eyeliner part because that's what Derek Carr looks like. Nice job, JL.
Good job to you. That's going to give you another point, Simon, putting you firmly in the lead here.
Okay. You know what? I know we're competing against each other, but like my goal is to like give you that aha moment. Like, know what I mean? I don't want to just hand feed it to you. Like, here it is exactly, but I want to see it like click in your head and like, yes, I got it. So that's the goal. You ready for your next round, JL?
I'm ready.
Oh, I should tell everyone what he's doing instead of just sitting here saying nothing. The next one we're going to do for JL, it is Gardner Minshew, and he is announcing that he will become a fighter pilot with no experience, absolutely no experience. So Gardner Minshew, fighter pilot with no experience.
I'm back.
You're back. Yes, I have a question for you, sir.
First question, guy in the back.
You've definitely got the look down, but what else about you gives you the confidence that you can be a fighter pilot with no previous experience?
Well, I'd say it's because I knocked everything else out of the park my whole life. I've never failed once. Why would I fail now?
You say you've never failed, but currently you're not sitting under center for any NFL teams right now. You're sitting on the bench. Do you consider that a failure, or is that part of the plan?
No. That's not failure. That's not failure. It's just that people are sleeping on me. All right. They're sleeping on me, and they're going to learn to regret it. I won't be on the bench for much longer.
What about your NFL experiences gives you the qualifications to be a fighter pilot?
I mean, I feel like my work speaks for itself, doesn't it?
I'm not sure it gives fighter pilot experience, but the one thing you do have going for you is the beautiful mustache going in your favor. Did you grow that out to try to look more like a fighter pilot, or has that always been part of your MO?
Absolutely did. You need the stash to be a fighter pilot. They don't let you fly without the stash.
Absolutely. Who is your favorite other quarterback that's ever played in the NFL? Like someone that maybe you wouldn't mind smoking a cig and smashing a natty light with.
Smoking a cig, smashing a light. I'd have to say Jay Cutler. When I think about ripping cigs outside of Denny's, I think of Jay, MF, and Cutler.
Yeah. And Tommy in the chat had a question for you. Well, not even a question. He just wanted to say you kind of look like Goose from Top Gun. Have you ever gotten that before?
I get that all the time.
You get that all the time? Do you agree with that comment? Do you think you look like Goose from Top Gun?
I think I do look like Goose from Top Gun. We both have that blonde hair.
And then Dustin wanted to know, what is your call sign going to be as a fighter pilot? Is it going to be related to something in your NFL career?
It's going to be a Cardinal, I think. I think we'll be a Cardinal.
Cardinal. That's an odd choice for you, if I'm going to be honest. That seems a little bit like an odd choice. What about that makes you think you want to be a Cardinal?
They were the team that drafted me.
Absolutely. Now, Absolutely. That's a potentially possible answer. Maybe you're a little bit crazy right here because I do not think the Arizona Cardinals drafted you, but that's okay.
I was thinking of Madden is probably what I'm thinking of.
Did you cut your mullet because you left the state of Florida?
Yeah, I had to turn in my mullet card. They made me cut it before I headed to Philadelphia.
John Luke, who do you think you are?
I'm Gardner Minshew. Minshew.
And I told no, you're becoming a fighter pilot. I literally said it in the first question. Yeah, so you're going to get both points for that one. You're going to get both points for that one, JL. Nice job, man.
I thought you were leading me to Josh Rosen at first.
No, absolutely not. Josh Rosen's
absolutely not.
Dinky butt fart. We were not going towards Josh Rosen.
Good job, Simon. I think you're going to end up winning this game press conference. Well done.
Yeehaw! Jail, well, you gave great clues. You did a really good job. You led me towards it.
We had a question from Eric in here. Said PPR league. I ended up spiked dropping CEH. Was this a mistake or up and Goddard injured? What do you think, Simon? CEH, is he droppable now?
I mean, I don't think you should have, but I think you're fine that you did. Like, the chances of him being super fantasy relevant this year they're not zero. That's why I wouldn't have dropped him. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco gets injured. Maybe that was a one-game weird thing and we're reading into it wrong. But in all likelihood, CEH's fantasy value is kaput for the rest of the season. So I think you're fine. I probably would hold on to him and see, but you're not starting him any week. So if you need the room, you need the room.
Yeah, I like that. I like that advice. It's gonna suck if he bounces back though.
I mean, I'll be happy for him. That's the silver lining on all of these. Know what I mean? Like every player that I say, like, no, they're not going to do it. Like whenever they do it, I'm like, damn, I was wrong. But happy for them. Like, glad you did it.
Yeah.
Guys, coming up, we are going to play some match game with Maria. She's coming on to lead some match game for us. And we're going to keep on answering your questions throughout the rest of today's show. Like JL mentioned, we're going to be putting together a Week 11 DFS build together. And as always, we've got our Thursday Night Football prop bet draft. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Obviously, you've got a couple identities here, right? And so, Lisa Ann's here. Let's talk sports. Let's talk fantasy. What about my team? What do you think about my team? Like, that's dope, man. Like that brand you have built here is huge. And over in Switzerland, you're a big deal in Switzerland. Of course you are.
In Europe, all over Europe. But when I was at the Jersey show like 2 or 3 weekends ago, my security was shocked because every other guy legit handed me his phone and said, yo, Lise, can you check my lineup? Can you look on the waiver wire? I got bye weeks coming up. You're right. It's really neat how my worlds have become just this synergy between, me being me and then me reaching out to all of these different people and having this common ground that now it's like we're kind of bros when we talk about sports, right? We're just friends. We're all sharing the same heartbreak or pain. Sports is the international language.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Probably every team knows that inking starting pitchers to big deals and big money agreements is bad business. But that's the business they're in. What else are they going to do? That's what it costs to play the game. And all these pitchers realize it. I'd like to sit here and say, well, you should develop your own pitching. You should never pay these guys $25 million a year. But Ray, I don't think teams can do that. It's like the pitchers have a lot of power despite their weaknesses and despite their fragility. They still have so much control over the purse strings of these teams and these GMs and these owners. They don't care, Ray. They're seeing the same numbers we are. They know Jake DeGrom. If they sign him, you pray for 130 innings. Every team knows that, Ray. They may say something different, but they know what's going on. And Ray, it won't stop them. I mean, what do you think DeGrom gets in free agency this year?
I think he'll get 4 or 5 years, and he'll get 35 a year each, right? Paying $20 million for Drew Smyly is stupid. Paying $200 million for DeGrom is idiotic, in my opinion. Jacob DeGrom has had 14 injuries the last 2 years. Every part of his body, it's just, and he's phenomenal. But you can't be locked in. If DeGrom makes 25 starts, 26 starts, if he throws 150 innings, you could win your division. You could win the World Series. I get it. But if he does the other thing, which is what he's done the last couple of years, your team is so hamstrung, unless you're one of 2 or 3 teams, you can't spend your way out of that.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everyone, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
In la game.
Was that French?
I don't know what that was. It's like Spanglish.
You said in la game.
In la game, which isn't even right.
No, that's how you say it, right? In French and Spanish and Italian, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in el game.
Did you have that jackass in your high school Spanish class that just every single day would make the same joke? Just add O on the end of a word. They would ask him, how do you say trash can? Yeah, and they'd be like, oh, it's just El hot dog. And they would do the same joke every single day.
Time.
It's why I switched to Latin. I couldn't handle those Spanish jackasses anymore in my Spanish. And to be clear, Spanish class jackasses. I want to make that very clear. They were obnoxious Southern white kids is what they were. They were just mocking the language that we were trying to learn in class every single day. Recycling the same used joke. Guys, joining us right now to play one of our favorite games, Match Game. We've got Maria joining the show. Maria! What she did ahead of time. FYF Maria went out and she asked people from the community, some people from the chat, people from the FYF team.
Morning.
Questions. What's up, Maria? Welcome in.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome in from kindergarten.
I hope nobody was offended. Nobody who's Spanish is watching and offended.
Spanish jerks. As Simon said.
Those damn Spaniards. Just kidding. I was specifically referring to the kids in my Spanish class.
I'm just kidding.
Guys, we're about to play some Match Game with Maria. She asked questions to people from the community before this, maybe about fantasy, about the NFL. They gave answers, and Jayla and I, our job is to try to match the answer given the person and the question. Maria so graciously prepared this game for us. Maria, you ready to get this game rolling?
I'm ready. I got a couple good ones.
Let's do it.
All right. My question cards are not as good today, so I'm just going to read them. All right. Okay. So the first one I asked to our dear friend Craig.
Craig. Roto Heat Craig in the chat every day.
I said, Craig, the lawyer said to his client, I think the judge used to own a deli. Instead of a gavel, he bangs a blank.
Easy.
The lawyer said to his client, I think the judge used to own a deli. Instead of a gavel, he bangs a blank.
If this isn't correct, Craig, we're not friends. I'm just gonna throw that out there. If this is not what you put, then I don't know you at all.
Okay, I got my answer
ready.
as well. And
You
I'm
guys
not
were
nearly
very
as
quick with
confident
this
as
one.
JL. I'm not nearly as confident, but I'm just thinking of gavel-shaped things and something that sounds funny in a sentence.
All right, the answers. We have salami and salami.
Nah. Don't steal my salami, Simon. I said it first.
Yeah, that ship has sailed as well. I stole your salami a long time
There's
ago.
also a salami in the chat.
First sight.
And
There's a salami in the
There's
chat.
2 salamis in the
Oh, it could be a meat bonk. It
Meat
could be
bonk.
a meat bonk.
Oh,
But
It could just be meat. He bangs his meat. That could 100% be what Craig wrote. No, I bet it's meat.
Why is
Craig
salami the
said-
obvious choice?
Pimento loaf.
loaf.
Of course, it's pimento loaf. He bangs his pimento loaf. Jail.
It's
We're
not a
idiots.
salami. I coulda
Those
swore
were
it was gonna be
guesses,
salami.
Good guesses.
I was so confident.
Pimento loaf. I've
What the
never
heck
even
is a
heard of
pimento loaf? Is that
pimento
bread?
loaf.
No,
sell-
not
No,
bread.
it is not bread. It is
Is cheese
Is-
pimento cheese?
also called pickle and pimento loaf or P&P loaf. Is a loaf type luncheon meat containing finely chopped beef and pork, as well as chopped pickles and pimentos, the little
Bomb.
pepper.
Nope.
Yeah,
No.
well, I guess at least it's better than eating it if he's using it as a gavel. Maybe it was just
Yeah.
like, no
Meat
one wants
bomb.
this damn
Because
P&P
it doesn't
loaf.
sell.
Yikes.
All right, no points for Simon or I this round.
Also,
right,
Dustin said, forgot
question
Craig is in
not involved.
Milwaukee. He said, forgot Craig is in Milwaukee. Pimento loaf makes sense. Apparently, that's a Milwaukee thing. They love their pimento loaf
Is
in
in-
Milwaukee.
Wisconsin. Those are 2 different things, right?
Well, one's a city and one. Like, they're not
Yeah.
exclusionary.
Exclusionary.
You could be in both.
Is
All right.
exclusionary a word?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's our next prop, Maria?
Next, we got one from Joey. FYF.
Joey.
He's on the team. He's the man. I said the Blanks will be a wild card team this year.
The Blanks will be a wild card team this year. Ooh, this is interesting,
We
JL, because
just
we
did this
just
yesterday.
went through yesterday all of the teams that we think are going to make the playoffs. And I'm trying to remember one that like maybe he was cued on that we weren't cued on, or one that like, oh, man, what am I
Who
going to
does
go
Joey
with?
think?
Ooh.
Here.
Ooh. Okay. All right. No, he's not gonna put that answer.
No, he's not going to put that
Or
answer.
he'll put that answer because he thought that you wouldn't think that or would think that.
That could be true.
Double reverse.
Hold on, I'm
Okay.
drawing a little picture.
I got my
for you.
answer.
Oh, a picture.
All right, I got
If
mine.
you get it correct with a picture, that's actually double points.
That's double points. All right, I got my answer.
Yeah.
Well, then,
Oh, no, he's drawing one now. That's not fair.
I
right.
I heard bonus points. Now I got to
Pencils
draw one.
down. Time's up. Pencils down.
Okay. Jeez.
Dolphins and oh my god, these are great drawings
Cowboys.
too. Wow.
We're so
I want to
good.
give you guys double points right now for those drawings.
Except no one got it right.
Unfortunately, double is 0 because he said the
No.
Green Bay Packers.
Boo!
Screw you, Dolphin. You
It's
failed.
not
me.
even a good picture I
But-
could draw for the Green Bay Packers.
It was so good. I don't know what you would draw.
Draw a freaking cheesehead. We had some guesses in the chat as well. Tommy going with Jets. Hal going with Tampa. And Tim saying he'd say the Fins, but they're making it on top of the East.
Mm.
And Dustin, the Bills fan, right below saying the Dolphins. Well, first he also said Bills. So he's in there. He knows what's up. Nope.
All right.
You okay there, Jaya?
Yeah, drop my pencil. Sorry.
Scary.
It's 0-0. But
Thanks for reminding us.
it's $1 million to $1 million in heart.
Wow. You mean it?
Yeah, I do. So this next question, I asked our friend Jorge, the New York Giants are rebranding, but they want to keep their acronym NYG. So now they are the New York, and it could be a hard G or a soft G. The New York
Giants.
The New York Giants.
The Giants.
How do you spell Giants? Is it spelled like Guy Ants?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's spelled the same. The Giants.
Oh man, there's so many words that start with G. Like a lot of them. What would Jorge say?
All hard. The New York blank.
Ooh. Jorge Martin, if you're unfamiliar with his work, excellent follow on Twitter.
All
right.
Okay, I need 1 second. I need one. Okay.
Okay, because I may or may not have dropped the cards under my table, so I need a second too.
Okay, I think I got this one.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
All right, I got it.
The New York Gobblers. The Gargoyles.
The New York
Get out of my
Gobblers.
ways.
The Gabagools is what
The
Tim
New York
said.
Gabagools.
The
All right,
New
I
York
got mine.
Goats. I got mine as well.
Goats. All right, let's see.
New York IPAs. The New York big guys.
And then I can't see all your big guys.
Big guys.
Big guys. The G trains. All right. But Jorge went with the New York Grunts.
The New York Grunts. You know what? I'm kind of digging it. There's like something like dirty about like the grunts. Very
New York Grunts.
What am I thinking of? Are they called grunts in Halo? Is that what the little guys are called? The
I
ones
think
that
so,
explode? Yeah. Like you can set the party
Yeah.
pot filter on them so when you shoot them, they explode in like a birthday celebration.
They're called grunts.
There's the little guys that run around with the spike on their head, like
His
Okay,
his
yeah,
first
it's-
thought was geeks. And then
The
he
New York
changed to
Geeks?
grunts. Geeks.
The New York Geeks. I like
oh,
that.
and then Hal saying it's like the New York hello, just the just a grunt. I wasn't even thinking of grunts.
I
in
like
that
that.
way. Just the what's up?
Well, this is
I don't know
pitiful,
about you.
Simon. 0-0.
How many more do we have, Maria? How many
have
opportunities do we have to
2.
score points? Okay,
2.
CJ,
Two
we
more.
got
Two
this.
more
There's still
shots. We
2
got this.
whole more chances to score points.
All right, what's
Okay.
our next prompt, Maria?
All right, next one. I asked Coop.
Coop.
European Coop. OBJ will sign with the blank.
Ooh.
OBJ will sign with blank.
Coop's pretty sharp. He probably has like an opinion that's not just wishful thinking here.
Mm-hmm.
But what's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? I'm gonna go with this team.
You might have to tell me John Luke's answer since he's frozen for me.
I'm frozen?
Oh, you're back.
I was just thinking. All right, I got mine.
You're frozen very
As do I.
cute, though. It was like,
All right. You got yours, Simon?
Yeah, I got mine.
okay, let's see. Giants, Bills. There is a point on the board, gentlemen. Coop said the Bills.
No! I
Let's
almost
go!
wrote Bills. Dustin in the chat got that one right as
He
well.
did.
Going
Tim
with
said
Bills.
Rams. Ricky B said Cowboys. Hal in the chat said Cowboys. And Tommy said Broncos. So he doesn't have to eat the tomato.
He did add, because he added a reason. Because I want maximum chaos for Gabe Davis fans.
That's fair. That would be add a little bit more fire to the, or what's the phrase? Something piss them off.
Add a little more
That's-
fire to the fire.
Add some more fire to the flames.
Fuel? Fuel?
That's it. Fuel. You're adding fuel to the flames. Fuel to the fire.
All right.
So
And we've
I'm
got
up.
one more.
All right. Lay it on us.
A very special person answered this one. Myself.
From Maria. for this
Maria.
one.
Me. And I asked myself, next year, Aaron Rodgers will be on blank. Next year, Aaron Rodgers will be on blank. Jeopardy. Morphine.
Morphine. All right, I got my answer.
1 second.
You got to draw a nice picture this time?
No, I'm changing my answer.
Hope so.
All right.
I'm almost done. I'm just trying to get exactly what Maria said.
It's a very long word. Or words.
Oh, no.
Okay. There we go. I got it.
All right. Let's show it.
I wrote the Joe Rogan podcast a lot since he quit football and has lots of spare time.
That's a pretty good answer. That's a pretty good answer.
It was a paragraph. I went with a job search.
A job search. We were in the
hey,
same route. We were in the same vein.
Do I get like a half a point?
Yeah, half a point.
Woo.
Do I went a little too specific, but I said since he quit football and has lots of spare time.
I mean, it's very close. You get half a point too.
Yes!
Woo.
Didn't get skunked. Got half a point right there. I love the answers in the chat. Dustin said mushrooms. Ricky B said an ayahuasca retreat. With peyote.
Cold.
Hal also with Jeopardy. And do you guys remember the rumors when Aaron Rodgers was going to be the next host of Jeopardy? Like he hosted it for a little bit as the guest host. And then it was like, he's going to quit football and be the full-time host of Jeopardy.
I could have seen that happening.
Oh God, it would have ruined the show for me.
Well,
Well
it
done.
was 1.5 to a half.
Woo,
JL
winner.
pulling out the victory. Nice job, JL. And Maria,
Well,
thank you so much for coming on and preparing this game for us. Always a pleasure hanging out with you in the mornings.
We love
Bye,
you,
guys.
Maria.
Enjoy the rest of
Love
your
ya.
day. Do you think anyone's going to draw better pictures than we did today in her kindergarten class, JL?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We need to tweet those out. They're beautiful.
Guys, everyone in the chat, I want to remind you, if you've got fantasy questions for us, week 11 start sits, question about tonight's game, let us know. Throw them in the chat. We will be more than happy to answer any and everything you could throw our way. Coming up, we've got a Thursday Night Football prop bet draft, and we're going to put together a week 11 DFS build for you guys as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
BSN time out, and today we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, that is the futures market for the upcoming college basketball season. With me, as always, the captain of our ship at Green Screens Media, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, why don't you kick us off with some favorites that you think are still good bets to place?
Yeah, let's go with national runner-up North Carolina, plus 140 to win the ACC, plus 900 to win the national championship. Core four players are back: Baycott, Love, Davis, and Black. Coach Hubert Davis entering year two with confidence. The loss of Brady Manick is tough, but Northwestern transfer Pete Nance will help soften that blow. Let's slide over to the Pac-12. Some West Coast action, plus 190 to win the Pac-12, plus 1,600 for UCLA to win the national championship. Coach McCrone has done a fantastic job building up this powerhouse program. At 2 stars, Tiger Campbell and Jaime Jaquez coming back, as well as 2 5-star freshmen, Amari Bailey and Adam Bona. This team is loaded and ready to make a run.
Love the Bruins this year. I'm going to go for the repeat. Kansas Jayhawks plus 215 to win the Big 12, plus 1,300 to win it all. It's a young team, right? They lost a lot of pieces from this title team last year, but managed to retain Jalen Wilson and DeJuan Harris and reloaded with a bunch of 5-star talent. Might take a minute for this team to click, but ultimately Bill Self is a proven winner. Really like them for those 1,300 natty odds. Other side of the coin, underdogs and values. Mike, where are you going to get a little bit of juice in your futures bets?
Yeah, let's go to the wide open Big Ten. Ohio State plus 1,100. Loss of EJ Liddell and Malachi Branham to the NBA was tough, but can be relying on a lot of freshmen early on, like Bryce Sensabaugh, Tanner Holden, and Sam McNeil coming through in the transfer portal. His team has question marks, but they may have answers by midseason. Let's slide on over to the ACC as well, plus 2,000 for Notre Dame. They finished tied for second in the ACC last year. They returned a veteran squad, includes lethal three-point shooters Cormac Ryan, Dane Goodwin, Nate Lejeski. Incoming 5-star guard J.J. Starling could be the X factor.
Plus 2,000 to win the conference. They came in second in last year. I love that call. For me, I'll go the Tennessee Volunteers plus 3,000 to win the national title. This is a team that won the SEC tournament last year, Rick Barnes, we know, can recruit, so he has an absolutely loaded team top to bottom. Guys like Triple J and Vescovi are legit difference makers in this league, so love them at that plus 3,000 price. Last category, player of the year. Mike, who do you like to bring home the Wooden Award?
Let's go with the long shot, Keontae George from Baylor, plus 6,000. Freshman No Strangers winning the National Player of the Year. He lit it up in the Global Jam this past summer. He's a 3-level scorer, plus defender, one of the top NBA prospects.
I'll go chalk here. Armando Bacot, plus 900. We talk about the Tar Heels as a favorite to win it all. Bacot has a lot to do with it. Last year, 16 and 13, almost 2 blocks per game, and can legitimately take a step forward on this loaded Tar Heels team. That will do it for your BSN timeout. Make sure you stay locked to the Better Sports Network and check out Green Screens Media on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage.
Yeehaw! Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy
Yeah.
Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
It's in the
Jill, you been
game.
practicing your yeehaws just for me?
I didn't do a yeehaw that time. I did a giddy up, and it was terrible. It was
Yeah.
just high pitch, just giddy up.
It was so bad I thought you said yeehaw.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Is what happened there. I'm not going to lie, Jill. You know I'm always going to be honest with you with feedback. Your giddy up
Yeah.
needs some work.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's totally fair. I think I'm going to work on it.
Like when someone gives a good giddy up, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, and I start running.
I didn't know that I was going to go high. I guess I never thought about it. I really don't have to giddy up often.
Man, Jail, I wish you told me this morning that you watched most of the new episode of Game Changer yesterday, but not the whole thing, which makes me think you did not see the last prompt. And I want to bring it up desperately right now with the giddy up, but I want to leave it because I want you to be surprised by it. And everybody watching, go watch Game Changer on Dropout. It's so funny. Such a good game show. If you like games, it's good stuff. John Luke, we have some questions coming here in the chat. Ricky B wanted to know last flex spot in a PPR league. Isaiah Pacheco, Kadarius Toney, Brian Robinson, or Brandon Cooks. Which one of those guys would you be plugging into your lineup?
Okay, lay 'em on me one more time. Cooks.
It was
Robinson.
Isaiah Pacheco, Kadarius Toney, Brian Robinson, and Brandon Cooks.
Brian Robinson, not Allen Robinson.
Brian Robinson.
Ooh, okay. So Brandon Cooks is going up against Washington. Brian Robinson's got Houston. Yep. Isaiah Pacheco has the Chargers. I'm gonna go with Brian Robinson this week. It is a prime matchup against Houston. He's been getting the usage. He's looked decent out there. Going against Houston, they're giving up the most points to the running back position in fantasy. This is a prime matchup for him. So I'll go Robinson.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Jail. It's the matchup. We saw Brian Robinson get the lion's share of the carries last week, and it's like the best matchup in the league for fantasy running backs going up against the Houston Texans. Robinson's going to win out on that one for me. Hallen here said, Evan Ingram on bye. I have Kyle Granson in my lineup. Now thinking add likely just in case, or McBride, Mo Alley Cox, or Tyler Conklin are available. What do you think in a 14-team PPR league? So, Jail, would you roll with Kylan Granson, or are you putting in Isaiah Likely, Trey McBride, Mo Alley Cox, Tyler Conklin? Which route are you going here?
It's tough. Likely, we don't know if Mark Andrews is going to actually play this week. So he is a question mark. Even if Andrews does play, there's a possibility that he's limited. He's on a snap count, or Likely just gets worked in. I think I'd be going Likely out of this group.
Man, he got bailed out by that touchdown last time Mark Andrews didn't play, though, right? But it was against a tough tight end defense in the New Orleans Saints. I don't know which way.
All these guys are going to be getting bailed out, right? Like none of these guys are going to be.
Yeah, it's Likely or Conklin for me. We've just seen Conklin do it a couple times. Like I said earlier in the show, I'm not counting on it, but we saw what he can do. So I'm rolling with Conklin or Likely. But
no
I'm probably
interest
leaning.
with McBride.
No, I think he's a stash. Hold on, see what you got. But rookie tight ends don't often contribute. Know what I mean? It's the exception, not the rule. Even when like kind of given that job, rookie tight ends take a bit of time to develop on their teams usually. This is rare what we're seeing with Greg Dulcich or what we saw with Evan Ingram his rookie year. So I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it this week either, but he's someone to keep an eye on. Zach Ertz out. He could step up and fill that role. Kyler being out makes me worried. So I'll go Isaiah Likely here in the easier matchup against Carolina.
Spooky Season wants to know, would you trade Tony Pollard for Jonathan Taylor? Says, I have Pollard ranked 17 and JT's ranked 27. I would trade, like, I was nervous about Jonathan Taylor whenever Jeff Saturday took over and they said Sam Ehlinger was going to be the starter. But now they named Matt Ryan the starter right before the game, and Jonathan Taylor saw all of the work in his game back. Like, he was the Jonathan Taylor that we expected whenever you were drafting him at the beginning of the season. Tony Pollard is still the backup to Ezekiel Elliott, and best case scenario, the 1A to his 1B whenever Zeke is healthy. Give me Jonathan Taylor 10 times out of 10.
Yep, I'm with you, Simon. Looking at, just quickly pulled up Alex's in high school's trade value charts, his market trade value charts, and Tony Pollard's tier 4, 30.5 trade value points. That's his market value. Jonathan Taylor, 54.5. He jumped up 19.5 trade value points this week. I don't think you'll be able to make this trade. I don't like one-for-one same position trades either, but it's Jonathan Taylor all day.
All day. F in here had a question for us. F's in the chat. Said, I traded away Fields, Kadarius Toney, and James Conner for Deebo Samuel and Joe Mixon. Has Dak as their backup quarterback, so they still have Dak in at starting quarterback. Wants to know our honest opinions. So, Dale, Justin Fields, Kadarius Toney, and James Conner for Deebo and Mixon. You like this trade?
Yeah, absolutely. You knocked this out of the park. If it's a one QB league, you trade away a QB, which I always see as or most of the time, I'd say in most cases, that's a plus EV move. Deebo and Mixon are top tier talents, and Toney and James Conner are not. They're a significant step down from those other two guys. So yeah, Deebo and Mixon, you nailed this one.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan. And then F following up saying, I have Jacobs, Mixon, and Jonathan Taylor. Do I keep all of them or try to sell any of them? Says Mixon scares me. I like Jacobs and JT a little more, but they're all good. Yeah, I'm starting all three of those guys every week. I assume you got 2 running back spots and a flex spot. Hard to imagine you've got someone better than Joe Mixon to put in your flex spot. Like, I'm probably rolling all 3 of those guys out there every week. And then, heaven forbid something happens to one of these players, they get injured, they're not playing, you've got your other guy ready to go to fill that spot. Like, you have 3 great guys. That's the perfect amount. I'm not trying to trade one away.
Yeah, I'm with you, Simon.
With me, we had another question come in here, JL. This one from Jake. Jake wanted to know Kmet or Everett this week. Are you going with Cole Kmet, Mr. apparently 2 touchdowns every week, Cole Kmet? Or are you going with Gerald Everett with the uncertainty around those 2 players playing, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? But I guess there's uncertainty around Gerald Everett playing as well, right? He got injured in the last game.
He did. I'm going Cole Kmet here. The matchup is about the same for these 2 guys. Chicago's has Atlanta. It's a decent matchup for tight. And their defense is just not very good. And then Gerald Everett has Kansas City. Both of these are expected to be high-scoring games. Total on the Atlanta-Chicago game is 49. Total on the LA Chargers-Kansas City game is 50. So Vegas is expecting high-scoring games from both of these matchups. Cole Kmet, while he is the guy in this offense, and while this offense is just going absolutely ham with Justin Fields, I'm starting him. It's a really good matchup. Their schedule gets a lot worse, so if you have Cole Kmet, this is the time to start him.
I'm a little bit less confident here. If this is a lot of ifs. If Mike Williams and Keenan Allen don't play and Gerald Everett gets in a full practice before Friday, then I think I'm leaning Gerald Everett. But there's just so much uncertainty there that the likely answer is just plug in Cole Kmet. My concerns with Cole Kmet, I've aired here before. They're still only throwing the ball like 22 times a game, 23 times a game. So there's not much volume to go around. Like, for him to get 5 targets, that is a huge chunk of that pie there in Chicago, right? Whenever they're only throwing the ball 22 times a game. So the volume isn't there. You're hoping for a touchdown like we saw the last 2 weeks. He has to command a ridiculous target share. That being said, if Keenan Allen or Mike Williams are playing, it's easily Kmet, and we still have to see Gerald Everett. Log a full practice as well. We're not certain that he's going to get in there on a full practice. I see F in the chat agreeing, saying, yeah, having Gerald Everett is stressful. I'm taking Kmet at this point. He's been hot. Yeah, Gerald Everett has been stressful. Though Kmet hasn't been a walk in the park either to roster.
The last 2 weeks he has been.
Yeah, I mean, you've been thrilled the last 2 weeks, but before that you were
like
pretty
a
sad.
Skip in the park.
What is because you're so happy?
Yeah.
When's the last time you skipped, JL?
Yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
You just skip around town, just skipping
All
around
the time.
Baltimore while walking Rosie?
Yep.
Jail's just skipping down the street. Is it just
Ha,
like,
ho,
how big of a
ho.
skip is it?
Ha 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 ho ho ho. That's just a little guy.
You ever seen the like, it's like a take that some people are willing to die on, or a hill that some people are willing to die on, is that skipping should be the preferred method of like moving around because they say it's like faster and more efficient. Like you cover more ground skipping than you do walking, but it's not as tiring as running.
It's pretty much impossible not to like add extra flair and use a bunch of extra energy while skipping though. So I don't know if I buy into that. There's a whole lot of extra stuff going on.
And then I have to be the guy skipping everywhere. Know what I mean? Like that's the thing for me. Even if it is more efficient, like I don't know. There's things where like I sacrifice efficiency just for the thing that I prefer more. Like I've got sunglasses and regular glasses. I know transition lenses are more efficient. I'm positive of it. And shout out to the people that rock them. I've tried them on. I can't rock them. So I don't roll with it, even though it's the more efficient option. Skipping, I view the same way. No shame if you're going to skip everywhere, but I'm not doing it. I'm going to look silly.
My favorite thing is watching, like, this wasn't as weird as a kid, but growing up now, like, whenever I see an adult running somewhere, I'm like, oh boy, what's going on here? What are you running for? It's just like, it's a weird thing you don't really see very often anymore. People running.
Kids just run. Like, it's snack time. They're sprinting. They got to get there as fast as they can. I don't run very often.
No.
Just out of fear.
This man just sprinted past me on the street the other day, and I was just like, where do you have to go? What are you late for? What's happening?
The last time I run is when we were dog sitting and I thought the dog got out, and I'm just running around the neighborhood trying to find this dog.
Skipping.
I'm just skipping around the neighborhood because it's way more efficient. And then we lose her.
Got some more questions in the chat here.
Absolutely. I see Big Trev in here saying, what's up again, guys? What up, Big Trev? Welcome back in. He said, went out and sold a bench running back for Rondale. So Rondale Moore said start 2 in PPR. Adam Thielen, Kadarius Toney, Rondale Moore, Michael Gallup, and DPJ. So thanks, y'all. Love that you guys stream all the time. We're always streaming, Trev.
Always here, Trev, for you. Great questions. Love them.
Yeah, which 2 are you starting? Thielen, Toney, Rondale Moore, Michael Gallup, and Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I'm going to – oh, man, this is tough.
There's one that stands out to me, and it's Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore is the one that I think you're putting in there, even if Marquise Brown is back, which I'm not expecting Marquise Brown to play this week, the first week that he's back and available. If I had to guess, I'm going to say he's not. But even if he is, he's likely getting eased back into this offense. Rondale Moore has been a pretty safe play. So Rondale Moore is the lock for me out of this bunch. It does get a little bit trickier after that. I'm not even considering
Juju still in the concussion protocol.
Yeah, I'm not considering Adam Thielen. It really comes down to DPJ or Toney for me. And I think it comes down to, like, what are you looking for? Do you want just sheer upside? I feel like you could get that from Toney, but there's a much lower floor. I feel a little bit safer with DPJ. I think I'm going to go Rondale Moore and Donovan Peoples-Jones as my 2 starts, JL.
I think that's fair. It's close enough that I will not disparage you for it, but it feels like Kadarius Toney is the guy with less risk here this week. With Juju still in the concussion protocol, this game expected to be high scoring. Kadarius Toney filling in, Donovan Peoples-Jones, which is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's a very tough matchup. Expected to be snow in this game as well, so passing might be limited. I think I'd go Toney here. Toney and Rondale Moore are the 2.
Man, the thing with Toney, though, is like last week, Juju knocked out of the game, right? It's not in there. Mecole Hardman also out. And Kadarius Toney still only saw 45% of the snaps, which is not a lot for a wide receiver, especially when you're expecting to like step in and fill that role. I don't think he's quite there yet on this team to be like a full-time fill-in. I think Kadarius Toney snaps are Kadarius Toney snaps, regardless of if Juju and Mecole are there. Like I expect MVS to kind of be the guy that steps up and has a bigger role. And Kadarius Toney is still going to get his designed plays for him in this offense. Like that's not to say he's not a good play. I just don't view it as like a big uptick for him that these other 2 guys are out, because we saw it last week and it wasn't a big uptick for him then.
Yeah, well, we did see a snap share increase 44% last week, which is great. Great to see. It wasn't a blow your socks off week, but it's decent for Toney. Pretty decent.
Decent for Toney.
Wide receiver 12 in half PPR.
Yeah, you were cool with it, right? But that came off the back. My thing is, if he's not on the field enough, then I don't trust it. DPJ is the wide receiver 2, locked in for that Browns offense, so I feel more secure in it. But Toney could easily outscore him this week, especially in that matchup.
Totally.
We had another question in here. Jake wanted to know, what about Ezekiel Elliott versus
Love this question.
DeAndre Swift? Should be Swift, but he's been scaring me. Seems at this point both guys are touchdown dependent. John Luke, are you going with DeAndre Swift or Ezekiel Elliott?
This is brutal because both these guys just haven't quite lived up to what we wanted. DeAndre Swift has the New York Giants this week. Zeke has Minnesota, which is a pretty stout run defense. Fifth hardest against for fantasy running backs so far this season. I think I'd stick with DeAndre Swift against the Giants this week. It is scary. I understand the concern, but I think the concern's there for Zeke too.
It's like a very similar situation, except we've seen DeAndre Swift at least on the field the past couple of weeks, whereas Zeke hasn't been on the field in 2 weeks, right? Like we could see what the usage they've been doing with DeAndre Swift for Zeke, and he's just a couple games behind. I'm rolling Swift out there as well, JL. First game back for Zeke. That's a pretty crappy situation to find yourself in that you thought was going to be a beautiful one at the beginning of the season, having to decide between Swift and Elliott.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Michael wanted to know, would I be crazy to start Christian Watson over Allen Lazard this week? JL, which of the Packers wide receivers are you prioritizing starting?
I would rather start Allen Lazard this week. He is still the guy getting the main usage in this offense. I'll quickly pull up what those numbers are. He's getting, let's see, just this past week where we saw Christian Watson have a pretty good game. Allen Lazard's wide receiver target percentage 27%, Soda target percentage 21% in this offense. He's been mostly above the 20% target share threshold for the last 5 games that he's played in. Christian Watson, very talented rookie. We're starting to see that breakout, but I still think Lazard's the guy here. So I would lean Lazard. I think it's very likely that Watson could finish ahead of Lazard. They're pretty close in my projections this week, but I would lean Lazard. I think he's the main guy there.
I'm leaning Lazard. Lazard. I'm leaning Lazard as well, JL. But like you brought up Allen Lazard's target share. Christian Watson had 8 targets last week, and the Green Bay Packers only threw the ball 20 times. That's a 40% target share that he had in that offense last week. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he just got 3 touchdowns. The dude was the dominant target for Aaron Rodgers last week. I still think that was one game, 1 week. Like, that's what I'm saying. But 40% is hard to ignore. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he just had a 3 touchdown performance. He was the focal point of the passing game for them last week, and that makes me nervous. Like, that could be the beginning of a trend that we see. I'm still rolling out Lazard. I think Lazard is the safer play. I think Lazard's probably the most likely to catch a touchdown from Aaron Rodgers, which will make you happy for fantasy. But I'm nervous.
We still saw, just looking at their snap share, Allen Lazard was played 98% snap share this past week. Christian Watson played an 84% snap share this past week.
High for both of them.
It's pretty high for both of them, yeah. But Lazard being on the field gives me confidence. Confidence.
I'm with you, but there's a lack of confidence, I guess, on my part that this is going to be how it is going forward. Big Trev wanted to know, do you guys think Rondale will still be valuable when Hollywood comes back? I'm just scared of snow game for DPJ. I understand being scared of the snow game. But for Rondale Moore, he'll still have value. It just won't be what it was. What helps him a little bit is that Zach Ertz went out injured now. So one passing option becomes available, another one leaves this Cardinals offense, as it has been the entire offseason. Just knock him back a peg. Maybe he's not an every week start, but he becomes like a bye week fill-in.
Yeah, I agree with you. They do play similar roles on the field. He will be impacted. I think it's fair to say, it's fair to predict that his usage, his targets, his opportunities will be limited with Marquise Brown back, but he's still 2nd-round draft talent. And when he's played, we've seen him getting usage. So I'm rolling with him going forward. This week, I'm fine if you want to be, if we want to be a little cautious with Kyler Murray being out.
Potentially.
Potentially. But I'm still starting him over DPJ.
Makes sense. I'm with you. Also, Evan, you're saying you guys are my fave channel because you answer the questions and don't wait an hour. Appreciate you, my man, F. Thanks so much for coming in, and we love answering questions.
Appreciate you. That's what we're here for.
Amstill54 wanted to know, starting Jawan Johnson over Kyle Pitts. JL, would you be throwing Jawan Johnson in over Kyle Pitts this week?
Boy. Sucks. This sucks so bad. See, let's look at their matchups. Jawan Johnson has the Rams. Kyle Pitts has the Chicago Bears. These guys are very close. I would lean Kyle Pitts.
They're close enough that it doesn't bother me either way, which sucks.
The tiebreaker will be talent. And Vegas expects this game to be much more higher scoring than the New Orleans Rams game. The current total by Vegas is 39 in that game, which is brutally low.
You know what? I don't blame you for wanting to start Jawan Johnson. And I think, like, if I was sitting in your position, I might throw Jawan Johnson in there as well. Because even when Kyle Pitts got, he had 8 targets last week. It was he had the targets. They were just uncatchable.
He has
like 6 of the 8 meats thrown his way, he couldn't even eat.
All that salami.
He's like, I don't eat salami. Where's my pimento loaf?
I'm vegetarian.
Throw some pimento loaf my way. I don't blame you. I think I would probably go Jawan Johnson, and that hurts. But they're both back end, tight end ones for me this week, in that 9 to 12 range.
27% target share from Kyle Pitts.
It's high, but it doesn't matter when the targets suck.
There's only 20 of them.
Yeah, there's 20 targets. So you're getting that 27% target share is much smaller than you actually think it is. You're getting a slice of a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut. And then someone took the sauce off and shit under your cheese and smushed it down instead.
Yum. He's got less targets than Marquise Brown. If you remember from yesterday, that's now my threshold for all target players is 65 Marquise Brown's targets.
More or less than Marquise Brown's targets with the amount of time that he's missed. Ansel had a dynasty question for us as well. Said, would you trade Deontay Johnson and 2 firsts for Stephon Diggs? So let's assume a 1 quarterback league here, JL. Deontay Johnson plus 2 first-round picks for Stephon Diggs. Are you making that move?
Deontay Johnson plus 2 first-round picks 2023, and we don't know if this is super flex, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming 1 quarterback.
I think that's more than fair. I think that's more than fair value. I would be taking that trade on the package side, on the pick side, over Stephon Diggs. I could understand making this move, though, if you are a strong contender this year, wanting to solidify your starting roster. I'd be okay going with Diggs. He's 28. Still got a decent amount of time left in his career. So I think he's one of those players where when I think about trading for dynasty players, I'm thinking about appreciation versus depreciation. Are they in a phase of appreciation in their value, or is it all sort of downhill from here? Stephon Diggs kind of feels like he's at the peak, right? His value's probably not going to go up much longer.
F them picks, get the title. The picks are always a gamble, right? And when you can get a player like Stephon Diggs, I think this is more than fair value. If you are a contender, JL hit the point. If you think you're going to make a playoff run this year, screw those picks. Go get Stephon Diggs. I think it's fair, and I would prefer to have the player than the picks in that situation. When I'm trading away multiple firsts, I want something that I feel is relatively safe and high value. You know what I mean? I don't want to trade it for something that's maybe a little bit unproven, has that potential upside. I know Damian Pierce is probably, you got to trade at least a first for him now in Dynasty. I imagine that's the case. I'm not making that move because he doesn't have the draft capital that guarantees his job is secure, even if I believe he's going to keep it. We've seen it for less than a season, and he doesn't have the draft capital, so I'm not making that move. Stephon Diggs is safe. The only thing that's coming for him is father time eventually, right? But I think he's got a couple more years before that happens. Josh Allen's going to be chucking him the ball. He's still Stephon Diggs. Unless he gets injured or ages rapidly, he's going to be good for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, I think he'll be decent production-wise, but I feel like the value is going to fall off soon, right? We've seen this happen time and time again. AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, right? They hit that left for dead. God forbid they get to 31.
Yeah, I guess.
I think for 2 firsts, you should be able to get an appreciating asset.
I guess I have no problem just taking a player and letting them ride out their career on my team. I know you're not maximizing value that way. It's not the way to maximize the value of your team. But I think sometimes in Dynasty, we get so obsessed with value that we forget about just winning. You know what I mean? Not every decision has to be just value driven. You don't have to milk every last ounce of value out of a trade or out of a player. if you got Travis Kelce, you can just keep rolling with Travis Kelce until he retires. You don't have to like try to get something for him before he retires, because there's value to him just being good on your team. Even if it's not the max value you could get from trading him away.
Yeah, for sure. It's different types of value, right? Speculative value versus like actual realized fantasy points value, which is just different. You got to be able to measure.
Tommy in here had a question. Said, do you think Bobby Tree starts to be relevant again with Tannehill back? What do you mean relevant again? Dude's been awful even with Tannehill. I think he's only got 1 week this entire season as a top 24 wide receiver, and he was 24. Or at least that's in standard. Let me check in PPR. Yep. Nope. Doesn't have a single week in the top 24 in PPR leagues. His highest finish is wide receiver 27 in week 4. Most of his finishes are outside of the top 50, whether Ryan Tannehill's playing or not. I think Robert Woods can just be left on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I was trying to see the Tennessee Titans were at the bottom of the league in terms of passing attempts. They've been playing musical chairs with the Chicago Bears. 212 from the Tennessee Titans passing attempts this year, compared to the Chicago Bears 208, which those are the bottom two teams in terms of passing attempts. So that really hinders Robert Woods' upside in this offense. It's too difficult to create fantasy relevant skill position players when your offense isn't passing enough.
Yeah, I agree with you. Robert Woods, don't get your hopes up just because Ryan Tannehill's back. Big Trev wanted to know, if Kyler practices 2 of the next 3 days, should I play him or Danny Dimes? Kyler gets a full participant practice in before this weekend, play Kyler. But it's not looking like that's going to be the case. I don't expect him to play this weekend. But if he's a full participant at practice today or tomorrow, then I'm playing him over Danny Dimes.
Yeah, it's tough. I also do not expect him to play this game. Daniel Jones, he has a pretty decent matchup. He's got Detroit Lions, who are giving up the most points to the QB position in fantasy. Kyler Murray, even if he does play, he's got the San Francisco 49ers, and it's a tough matchup. I would just go Daniel Jones here, regardless.
No matter what?
Yeah.
If we get a full practice, I'll go Kyler. But otherwise, I think Daniel Jones
matchup.
is a perfectly good play. We had another question in here, JL. One more. Amstel said flex Curtis Samuel or Paris Campbell. Are you flexing Curtis Samuel or Paris Campbell? Paris Campbell going up against the Philadelphia Eagles and Curtis Samuel playing the Houston Texans.
Ooh, man. I'm going to go Curtis Samuel. The matchup here is Houston Texans secondary hasn't been that bad. Paris Campbell has the Philadelphia Eagles, which has been a very tough matchup for wide receivers. That Jeff Saturday experiment, I don't know if it's going to translate this week. I think we're going to see Eagles come back pissed and wanting to make a statement this week. And I don't think that I don't think that Colts are, outside of playing the Raiders, are that good. I'll go Curtis Samuel.
You're going to go Curtis Samuel? Man, I think the tiebreaker is going to be, we just watched the Commanders show a blueprint on the best way to play this Eagles team, right? And that is running the ball. Like, if you're going to find offensive success against this Eagles team, it's going to be on the ground. And the Colts have Jonathan Taylor. So I think they're going to see what the Commanders did, and they are just going to run with JT in this game. I like Paris Campbell rest of season, but I don't think this game script favors Campbell, so I'll go Curtis Samuel as well, JL. Guys, coming up, we are going to do our Thursday night football prop bet draft and build out a DFS lineup for week 11 as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Green Screens Media back at it again with your BSN timeout. And today we're putting some teams on upset alert. With me, as always, the captain of our ship at Green Screens Media, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, coming in off a 2 out of 3 effort in our week 1 upset alert. Let's turn the page to the week 2 schedule and let's find some more upsets.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's start with the Charleston Classic Thursday afternoon, pitting the Furman Paladins against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Paladins are one of the top mid-majors in the country out of the Southern Conference. They have 2 bona fide college stars in guard Mike Bothwell and forward Jalen Slauson. But I think the thing that makes them dangerous is Wake Forest transfer guard Carter Witt. He provides them another playmaker and could be a handful for the Nittany Lions. Penn State's look good this year, and they have a backcourt led by Jalen Pickett. However, they sport a very small team. 6'7" Caleb Dorsey anchors the middle in their starting lineup. Look for the Paladins to try and speed up the game and make enough plays to pull the upset.
I can definitely get behind that, especially with how Jalen Slauson's been playing so far. I'm going to stick with Thursday here, but I'm going to go to Nebraska. They're heading to St. John's to face off against the Red Storm, and it is an entirely new look squad for these Cornhuskers. It all starts with versatile fifth-year wing Sam Griesel. He's coming in from North Dakota State, and he's really shined early in Fred Hoiberg's system. He's joined by a few more transfers. Emmanuel Bandamel coming in from SMU, Jawan Gary coming in from Alabama, and this squad really feels like they're in a good early season rhythm. On the other side for the Red Storm, another year of Posh Alexander. He continues to play at an all Big East level, and he's joined by DePaul transfer David Jones. It feels like they really nailed that transfer, but unfortunately for the Red Storm, head coach Mike Anderson kind of has a history of underperforming with some very talented rosters. I think that may be the case on Thursday, and I like the Cornhuskers to steal one.
Hey, I don't mind that call at all, but let's slide over to Friday and look at the Basketball Hall of Fame showcase, which pits the Temple Owls against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The Owls and coach Aaron McKee shocked a ranked Villanova squad at home this weekend and have plenty of weapons to make noise this year. They return a dangerous backcourt duo of Damian Dunn and Khalif Battle. I think a key factor for the Owls is going to be the play of Zach Hicks, who anchors a smaller front court. He's going to have to knock down some shots against a very tough defensive Rutgers squad, but we haven't seen Caleb McConnell yet, who is one of the best perimeter defenders for the Scarlet Knights. Big man Cliff Amoria is going to have to dominate the paint again, and Cam Spencer is going to continue to need to get buckets if this Rutgers squad wants to avoid the upset.
Love the Temple Owls going with the back-to-back upsets. That will do it for your BSN timeout. Make sure you stay locked here on the Better Sports Network, and make sure you check out Green Screens Media on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into our Thursday night football prop bet draft, where Jalen and I are going to draft props from tonight's game, see if they hit. Whoever gets more is going to be our winner. Before we do that, though, we had some questions come in the chat, JL, over the break. Want to make sure we hit these. This one coming from one Mr. Scott Fish. Scott Fish, what's up, Scott? How you doing? Shout outs.
I went to text him this morning, Simon, before we started the show, because Maria needed an extra prompt. She was like, Fish, to get him to fill out a prompt for the show. And I'm like, well, it's probably like 5 a.m. where he is. He probably doesn't want to text. So I never sent the text, but I like the autocorrect on it, and I left it. I went to say, good morning, my fish, but instead it corrected it. Good morning, my gosh.
Good morning, my gosh.
My gosh.
What a day to start. What a way to start the day. My gosh. Good morning.
Good morning, my gosh.
You ever accidentally sent an embarrassing text to someone, like where autocorrect made it bad, or you send it to the wrong person?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The same AP Lang teacher that I told you about that let me stay after class. One time I
took all those Tylenol PMs.
Yeah, I woke up one morning and I was texting my high school girlfriend at the time, good morning, beautiful, with a smiley face. And then I get a response back like,
Simon, this is Mr. Phillips.
Exactly. It was like, I don't think this was meant for me. And I was humiliated. I sent good morning, beautiful to my teacher in AP Lang, and then I had to go into class.
No, it was.
I'm not trying to get anyone fired. And that dude was a cool teacher. He was the kind of teacher, like someone came in one day crying because they like their skateboard got broken. Someone like stole their skateboard at the bus stop and snapped it. Next day, he comes in with like a sick new one-of-a-kind skateboard for this kid. And he's like, hey, like, just hated seeing you upset yesterday. Like, he was that kind of teacher. You know what I mean? Where he was listening and doing stuff like that.
Mr. Phillips.
We got some questions in here. Scott Fish's question. We got on a tangent. He said, would you start Watson and Lazard tonight? Nico Collins, Adam Thielen, and Mecole Hardman are my only other available wide receivers on that team this week. I need to start 3 of those 5. Yeah, Scott, if I'm you, I'm plugging in both Watson and Lazard. And then, man, Hardman, if he plays, is probably the play for me, but he hasn't. He has an abdomen illness, is I believe what was reported. Not an injury.
He's got the Tommy Trembles.
He's got an abdomen. His abs are ill, not his stomach. The muscle group is ill. Instead of the stomach being ill. Dude's got diarrhea and just saying my abs hurt. That's what's going on with Mecole Hardman.
My abs.
Someone get him some Pedialyte and get him back on the field. Nico Collins would be the next guy for me.
Nico Collins is a decent play. I think Adam Thielen is a decent play. I would put Alan Lazard, Christian Watson, Adam Thielen kind of in a tier So if you're starting 3, those are the 3 I'm going to go with. Adam Thielen's got Dallas, which really hasn't been that bad of a matchup this year. The defense was much better at defending the wide receiver than it is this year. Allen Lazard, Christian Watson both have high, and they both have plus matchups. So I would definitely, those 3 guys separate themselves, Hardman and Nico Collins.
Thielen's probably good for around 9 or 10 fantasy points. He's pretty consistently getting 7 targets in this offense. He's just not doing much with them. It's just Adam Thielen's getting the targets, getting the volume, and he's doing something. So it's a safe play, but I just don't see any ceiling there. I like Nico Collins' ceiling a little bit better than Adam Thielen's. That's why I'll roll that way. But I understand starting Watson and Lazard. We get those questions all the time. Like, can we actually start 2 players from the same team? I think you can. It's no problem. Had another question in here. Start Dak over Kyler this week? Yeah. Even if Kyler comes back this week, I'm starting Dak over him. What about you, JL?
Yeah, I'm with you, Simon.
And then needs to start 1 in a standard league. This one coming from Michael. Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, and Kadarius Toney. So, JL, I think we both already answered Pittman over Toney in another question, right? Or did you have Toney over Pittman?
No, I think I have Pittman.
And then it becomes Pittman versus Garrett Wilson. Are you starting Michael Pittman or Garrett Wilson?
Start Michael Pittman over Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I'm also starting Michael Pittman. This is going to be Pittman for me, especially with Matt Ryan under center. Like I said before, though, I expect this to be a run-heavy game, but I'm still rolling with the number 1 wide receiver for the Colts. He's going to have to be involved, right? If somebody's going to get targets, hopefully they're going his way. Hal wants to know MVS or Nico. I'll go MVS in that situation with Juju still in concussion protocol and Mecole Hardman with his abdomen illness. MVS is on the field. I'm rolling with him.
As MVS or Nico Collins?
Yeah.
That's close. I think I'd lean Nico Collins.
You lean Nico?
Nico, my cousin.
Is that how you say he's your cousin?
Yeah. That's from some old YouTube, like video game YouTuber.
Where he said Nico?
He said, Nico, my cousin.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna spend the rest of the day finding that.
I think
YouTube
it was
video.
I think it was Donkey. It was a League of Legends streamer back in the day. I don't know if that guy's still around, but
some people,
whenever I hear Nico, I can't not hear that. Nico,
Sometimes I see these streamers that like I used to watch back in the day play like Minecraft or Hearthstone, and they're just doing completely different things now. Just entirely different things.
They just like work at the CVS.
No, it's usually streaming, but they've just come like it's not Minecraft anymore. It's just something else. Entirely different stream. John Luke, you ready to get into this week? What week is it? Week 11, Thursday night football prop bet draft.
Yep.
Let's do it. On Monday, we did a prop bet draft. Joey is not here today. He will hopefully be back tomorrow and we will pay out the bet then. But John Luke, yet again, you are currently undefeated, not even second or third. You have come in first place on every single prop bet draft that we have done so far. You have not come in second or third or even tied for first. You're just winning every single one of them. I thought I had you last week.
I thought you had me too. You want to go through the picks?
Yeah. So, Dale, your first pick, Antonio Gibson, under 23.5 receiving yards. You hit that one. Antonio Gibson had 14 receiving yards. So that one was a hit for you. You also had Curtis Samuel under 42.5 receiving yards. Curtis Samuel had 28 receiving yards. So that was a hit for you. And your last one was Jalen Hurts over 19.5 pass completions. He only had 17, so you did get that one wrong. You got 2 out of 3. My first
2 out of 3 is my specialty.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Beautiful.
It won, so it's not bad. I had A.J. Brown as an anytime touchdown scorer. Dude got injured early in the game. There was nothing for A.J. Brown in that one. Only saw 4 targets, 1 reception for 7 yards, but that was because he got injured. That being said, if you're worried about A.J. Brown, he said he's fine. There was a tweet out yesterday said, everything's fine. I'm good to go. So don't worry about him. Bonk on that one, though.
Bonk.
Taylor Heineke under 1.5 passing touchdowns. Nailed that one. Nice. Got that one right.
That was a good goal.
0 passing touchdowns for Taylor Heineke. They ran the
flipped
ball.
On that one, too. You took the over, Simon.
When it was at 1.
On a half.
Yeah.
A half a passing touchdown, which he didn't throw any, right?
Yeah, he didn't throw any. So that would have been wrong.
That would have been wrong, yeah.
So luckily, you guys forced me to change to the line from the FanDuel Sportsbook, and then I changed my pick to the under. Got that one right. And then my last one, this one, JL, this one hurts to my core. Jalen Hurts over 12 and a half yards longest rush. Do you know how long his longest rush is? 12 yards. 12 yards. He hit a 12-yard run, not 12 and a half, not 13, 12. And so I
Lions
lost that
makers,
one to
man. They
lose
know what
this
they're
game.
doing. They're
God, so JL, you won that one. You got the victory out of here.
sharp.
We're
And
gonna roll it back.
Joey's misses.
Go over Joey's misses. Yeah, all three of them missed. He had AJ Brown over 5.5 receptions. We already mentioned that. AJ Brown had 1 reception. He had Jake Elliott over 7.5 points.
3
Jake Elliott
XPs.
just 3 extra points for Jake Elliott. And then we had Devonta Smith over 53.5 receiving yards. And he
had
did
like
not
24 or something.
39 receiving yards for Devonta Smith, which is also lower than 53.5. Joey got triple bonked, and me and him will be paying out an impression bet tomorrow on the show.
That's fair.
Tommy's
That's
saying
fair.
JL got mad props. It's like getting ridiculous that you just keep winning, honestly.
I kind of like want to not schedule this segment ever again because I get too anxious when stuff like this happens because I'm just now worried about losing it. Like
You
I
know
just
the streak's
feel
gonna
it.
be ruined.
I know I'm gonna lose it. Yeah. So I just
There is something
quit,
about like
never do it again.
something going poorly the first time to like eliminate all worries about it forever. Know what I mean? Like then you're not worried about a streak. You're not like, okay, I lost. Now we're just playing.
Right.
I'll try to give you that experience this week, JL.
Thank
So
you.
that way
Appreciate
the pressure's eliminated the rest of the time. Before we get into this draft, I saw we had a question come in here, JL. Za wanted to know, said, I'm 6-4. Trade Hurts, Gabe Davis, and Elijah Mitchell for Mahomes and Mike Evans. So Hurts, Gabe Davis, and Elijah Mitchell for Mahomes and Mike Evans. What are you doing here, JL?
Hurts, Gabe Davis, Elijah Mitchell for Mahomes. So Mahomes and Hurts are pretty much
Cancel
a wash
out.
for me.
Yeah.
Cancel out. And Mike Evans. So essentially, the way I'd look at this is Mike Evans for Gabe Davis and Elijah Mitchell. I'd rather have Mike Evans' side in a vacuum. Our wide receivers are Higgins, Mike Williams, and Rondell Moore. Running backs are Eckler, Barkley, and Josh Jacobs. So you need wide receiver depth. I would go on the Mike Evans side of this.
Yep, Mahomes and Mike Evans for me as well. You're consolidating Gabe Davis and Elijah Mitchell into one asset that's startable for you every single week, and Mike Evans. And Hurts to Mahomes, you're thrilled with both. Honestly, I don't even understand why that's part of the trade here.
It doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be.
If you can, just keep Hurts, honestly, if I was you. Just get that rushing upside.
That's Ryan.
Mahomes are so close, it doesn't matter, but I think I'd rather have Hurts at this point.
Zah said, also sent the trade offer for St. Brown. So Amon-Ra St. Brown using Gabe Davis and Elijah Mitchell. Thoughts? Yeah, I'm cool with that one as well. Gabe Davis and Elijah Mitchell for Amon-Ra St. Brown or Mike Evans is beautiful in my eyes.
Yeah.
Sweet. John Luke, I say we go 4 rounds today since it's just the two of us. What do you think? Or do you want to stick to 3?
I like that.
Let's go to 4. That'll be 8 total props picked. John Luke, do you want to go first or do you want to go second in today's draft?
I'll go second, Simon.
Okay, that means I have to go first. In the first round, Simon is up first, and I need to pick one of these prop bets that I like. That's the game, right?
That's the game.
Tennessee Titans at Green Bay Packers. Here is what I want to do.
I was looking at an entirely different game.
Which game were you looking at?
I was looking at LA Rams game, and I'm like, Packers, Titans, what are you talking? Oh, Lord, Simon.
Yo, do you know what the line is at for Derrick Henry's rushing yards in this game?
What?
102.5 is where the line for Derrick Henry is sitting at. Over 100 yards are what's expected from Derrick Henry here. Man, that feels like a trap, right? But am I really going to be the one to say that he doesn't quite reach that far? And the Packers have been pretty bad against opposing running backs. You know what? I think this is a slam dunk week for Derrick Henry. I'm going to take the over on Derrick Henry, 102.5 rushing yards. I think the Titans are going to try to run the ball, and I think they could have a lead in this game. I'm not buying into the Packers are back after last week beating the Cowboys. I'll take Derrick Henry over 102.5 rushing yards. Final answer.
Final answer. Lock it in.
Okay, Dale, that means we're snaking then. So now you have 2 picks, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I'll have 2 picks here. I'm with my first pick. Wait, Simon, which one did you take?
Derrick Henry over 102.5 rushing yards.
Okay, I will go in a similar vein here. I'll take Derrick Henry over on 21.5 carries.
Derrick Henry over on 21.5 carries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got another one, though. I guess those kind of go together. Like, you're kind of edging a little bit. I don't think you're doing it on purpose. But if mine hits, yours probably hits, right? And if yours hits, mine probably hits. Unless Derrick Henry breaks off like a 98-yard touchdown run in the first half and then doesn't play the rest of the game and had like 3 other carries that got him there.
One of my my next one, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers over 2.5 rushing yards. I've been really enjoying the rushing yards prop bet, Simon, throughout the season. I find them really fun because I like to throw narrative into this and look at it through that lens. When I look at Aaron Rodgers, who's not historically a rushing quarterback, he's playing in a primetime game where he's coming off of this. He's got this chip on his shoulder. He's coming off this poor performance until last week. He's got something to prove. And I think a lot of times when quarterbacks get in these situations, these non-running quarterbacks, when they're in must-win games or they're trying to prove themselves, they end up rushing because they're competitive. They want to get the job done. 2.5 rushing yards is a solid line for me. I'll take the over.
Taking the over. I mean, God, I hate those ones because they're so stressful because it's like, I guess I hate taking the under on those, right? The over feels like the easy play, but then I hate taking those because I feel so stupid when they don't hit the over on 2.5 rushing yards. I'm like, of course they didn't. But then whenever you take the under, you're just sitting there the whole time, like knowing one play, one broken play. All Aaron Rodgers do has to like lay down forward and he breaks that prop. Like he just has to fully extend 3 feet. You're done. Like there's, I guess 3 yards is more than 3 feet. He's not quite 9 feet tall.
He could be.
So he has to take 2 big steps and then lay down.
Right.
Also, Tommy in here saying, I think you guys are both wrong. Titans learned they need to be balanced if they want to win against AFC elite Kansas City last week. Titans will try to pass tonight more than usual. So
have you seen them try to pass recently?
Also, Tommy, I think this argument you said against AFC elite Kansas City, I don't think they're playing an elite team this week or an elite defense. I don't think that's what's going on here. Also, JL, Tommy brings up a good point. Malik Willis was them trying to pass recently. Tannehill will be back tonight. So Tannehill is a much better passer than Malik Willis.
But Malik Willis is only the last few games. They were still very low passing volume with Tannehill in. So I don't think this is necessarily just a Malik Willis thing. It's them losing AJ Brown thing. They have Derrick Henry. You know, if your weapon is Derrick Henry or Nick Westbrook-Akine, which one are you going to rely
on? Nick Westbrook-Akine, probably.
Naturally, of course, yeah.
Yeah, to Tommy's point, in that Kansas City game against Kansas City, they almost won that game, and they only threw the ball 16 times. You know what I mean? So maybe chucking the ball more, they could have pulled that out. But that game went to overtime against Kansas City 2 weeks ago. And they did only throw the ball 16 times, but Malik Willis was under center as well in that one.
True.
I guess it's my pick again, right, JL?
It is.
It's my pick. And here is where I'm going to go. I'm going to take Robert Woods under 31.5 receiving yards. I'm sticking with that. He has not been involved much this year to begin with. I know Ryan Tannehill's coming back, but this is me saying I don't think he's going to quite hit it. Even in his the last few games with Ryan Tannehill, not Malik Willis, 26 yards, 37 yards, 30 yards. So he hasn't been hitting that mark in most weeks anyways. I'm going to take Robert Woods under 31.5 receiving yards. Final answer, lock it in.
Under 31.5 receiving yards. I like it.
Am I back on the clock then?
You're back on the clock. Yeah, back-to-back picks here.
Robert Woods under 31.5 receiving yards. Ooh, and where do I want to go on this next one? Here's where we're going to go on this one. We're going to take another under, and I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers under 243.5 passing yards. So Aaron Rodgers under 243.5 passing yards in this one.
You don't think he's going to pass much?
I really do think that the Titans might be able to just run all over this team, dominate the clock, and pull out the victory that way. I don't know how much of an opportunity he's going to have to chuck the ball in this one.
That's fair. That's totally fair. You took you took Robert Woods under receiving yards, didn't you?
I did.
You little butthole.
Is that the one you wanted?
Yeah.
Oh, too bad. Suck it. Joe, you've got 2 more picks, and these are your last 2 picks. Then I've got 1 more to round out our draft.
All right, let's go with let's go. Gosh, this is hard. I'll go with AJ Dillon over 8.5 receiving yards.
AJ Dillon over 8.5 receiving yards.
No,
Is that?
I want to change it.
This is kind of a gross game for props, isn't it? Right? Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like this is, for some reason, this one is hard.
This is a tough one. You know what? I'll take Derrick Henry under 1.5 receptions.
Derrick Henry under 1.5 receptions this week.
Let's go.
Just think he's not going to be involved in the passing game.
Yeah, I think they'll rely on the run game. He really has not been used a ton in the passing game. 1.5 is a pretty low line, but this could totally go the other way. This sucks.
Yeah, I just can't stand the props that are like
that
one
low.
Play can ruin
Yeah,
it. You know what I mean? Like
ruins
one catch can ruin it. Those ones absolutely just drive me crazy. Is that the one you're going with, JL?
You know what? Can I change it?
You can change it.
I'll take the over on the total here. The total set at 41. I'll take the over.
You're going to take the over on that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. And then JL, I'm going to go back to the well of what I did last week, if you'll allow me. Again, it is worse odds than all of these other props. It did not work for me last week on the anytime touchdown score, but I want to throw an anytime touchdown score in here.
I do too.
Yeah, you're supposed to do 2. Oh, it is still your turn. No, you did Aaron Jones receiving yards or AJ Dillon receiving yards, 8.5.
But I switched that one.
I think that was just your first one then, maybe.
Right. Okay. So I have one more. I won't take that one you just alluded to, Simon. I'll take the under on Ryan Tannehill's 16.5 completions.
You could have taken an anytime touchdown score. You don't know which one I'm going to throw in there.
Sure.
So you took Ryan Tannehill under 16.5 completions?
Yep.
It was 16.5. That's the line?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ooh, that's pretty low.
Yep.
So you're buying in that this will really be a rush-heavy game for the Tennessee Titans.
I am.
I do too. I buy into that as well, Jail, but that is a low line. 16.5 completions for Ryan Tannehill.
Unders.
Now, I'm going with an anytime touchdown score, and it's a player that we've talked about a bit already. It's at plus 200, so not quite the same odds as all these other bets we've been taking, which are minus odds. But I'm going to take Allen Lazard on the Green Bay Packers. A little bit of positivity thrown that direction. I still think he's the one. I still think he's the biggest red zone threat for them, the biggest end zone target. And I'm going to take Allen Lazard as an anytime touchdown scorer for the Green Bay Packers.
I like that pick. I like that pick a lot, Simon.
Allen Lazard, anytime touchdown scorer. So to recap, JL, you have Derrick Henry over 21.5 rushing attempts, Aaron Rodgers over 2.5 rushing yards, Tannehill under 16.5 completions. And then your last one was the over on the total.
Yep. 41.
41. Over on the total of 41. If it's a push, we just make your other ones worth more points, right?
I think so, yeah.
Just like out of 3 instead of out of 4.
Yep.
It's exactly a push. And then I had Allen Lazard as an anytime touchdown scorer, Aaron Rodgers under 243.5 pass yards, Robert Woods under 31.5 receiving yards, and Derrick Henry over 102.5 rushing yards.
Nailed
I usually stay away from those high ones, but I just wanted some Derrick Henry action in this game. Know what I mean? Like I just wanted those rush yards. He's going to do it. He's going to get 100 plus yards. I swear if he gets 101
about this game now.
If he gets 101, I swear. Like if he does, like that means I'm right, but I'm wrong. Know what I like? That would be the absolute word. Like I was 100% correct. I was just still wrong. Woo! We'll see what happens.
We will see. I like these products. They give me something to like. I feel like I have a lot of skin in the game because I don't want to do an impersonation. So like I'm all of a sudden hyped for this game.
Yeah, we had a question come in here, a super chat from our friend Jared Tyrese.
Hey,
what's up, Jared? Thank you so much, my man.
Appreciate you, my friend.
It's 7-3 in a PPR league. He's got
Nice.
Tua and Watson at quarterback. Nice quarterback core. Saquon Barkley, ETN, David Montgomery, Antonio Gibson at running back. Freaking solid. Mark Andrews at wide receiver, and then Godwin Amari Cooper, Allen Lazard, Garrett Wilson, Rondale Moore, and Christian Watson at wide receiver. Wants to know if he should make any moves. Your weak point is probably your wide receivers, but that being said, you still have a great wide receiver core. If Lazard's your third guy and Rondale Moore is your fourth guy, and you've got Christian Watson sitting there in the wings in case he has this late season breakout. I'm rolling with this team into the playoffs, Jared. You have built a really nice team. I don't really see any moves where you're trading something away that like immediately improves your team. What about you, JL?
Yeah, you're 7-3, right? You're 7-3 for a reason. This is a solid squad. Simon's absolutely right. Your weakest point is wide receiver depth. And even that, it's not that weak.
It's not weak. It's better than a lot of teams' wide receiver depth.
A grade of a B. So that's pretty solid. Yes, you could have another like stud wide receiver there. Or you could, like, if you really want to make a move, look into hedging with Andrews, seeing if you can maybe trade Andrews away for maybe a Hawkinson and something else or something like that, just to hedge against that injury.
I would even do like if you could do like Dulcich plus a wide receiver, like one that you can start at, like Dulcich plus Christian Kirk.
T. Higgins.
Dulcich plus T. Higgins. I don't think you're getting that done from.
I don't think you are either, but maybe.
But I think you could get a Christian Kirk. Like
a lot of people are kind of like, I feel like the trade market for tight ends gets a little wacky.
It does.
People really tend to want that top guy at tight end.
Scott said hedging with Andrews sounds like a gardening show on HGTV.
That's one way to
take it. To another episode of Hedging with Andrews.
Hedging with Andrews. Edging with Mark Andrews.
Yeah, that's another way to take it, JL. I used a lot of willpower not to say that out loud, and then you just blasted.
And then I just came barreling in like the Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it. You got it. We don't both need to do a Kool-Aid man impersonation. Jared also wanted to know Rondale Moore or Deontay Johnson rest of season.
Where
are you going, JL?
Deontay Johnson. Yeah, Rondale Moore has been good. He's been good in this Arizona offense. But there's a lot of uncertainty in his situation. Kyler Murray injury, Marquise Brown coming back, DeAndre Hopkins there. There's just like a whole lot of moving pieces. Deontay Johnson is the guy on that offense, even if the offense is poo-poo.
So you would trade Rondale Moore away straight up for Deontay Johnson? Because that was the question here.
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, I think I would make that move as well. I mean, you're not like hyped about Deontay Johnson, but it's still a better asset than Rondale Moore with the pieces coming back for Arizona.
Looking at these trade value, our friend Alex's trade value charts, Deontay Johnson, 17.5 trade value points, tier 6, and Rondale Moore is not far behind. He's tier 7, 14.5. So it seems like the market is much closer on these guys than I am.
Yeah, I'm not very close on them either. I think maybe the market hasn't corrected yet for the return of Marquise Brown. Know what I mean? I think maybe that isn't being taken into account yet for Rondale Moore. There is still uncertainty, but I'm assuming that has a pretty big impact on Rondale Moore. He's still fantasy relevant, but not fantasy must start every single week.
Right.
We had a question here from Big Trev. He said, any moves you think I should do? I'm 5-5 right now, sitting in 4th. My team is Kyler and Danny Dimes. It's got Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Ramondre Stevenson, and Rashad White at running back. Holy moly. Tyreek Hill, T. Higgins, Rondale Moore, Thielen, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Gallup, Tony at wide receiver, then George Kittle at tight end, and then a kicker and a defense. So I don't know much about Tyler Bass and what his position is in relation to other kickers, so I'm going to ignore that part. Jill, any moves you're trying to make? Because he said rosters lock next week. Probably grab Deshaun Watson instead of Danny Dimes. Any other thoughts? First, yeah, I agree with that. Watson instead of Danny Dimes. But any other things you'd be doing to improve this team?
Yeah, you play Danny Dimes this week. So I wouldn't drop him. I don't know if you're going to get Deshaun Watson next week, though. But you probably aren't going to be able to start Kyler. So you're probably going to need to keep Daniel Jones on your team until next week. I'm okay starting him. We already talked about that a bit. I'm okay starting him in this matchup. They're going against Atlanta. It's a positive matchup for Daniel Jones. Other moves I'm making on your team. I mean, a wide receiver depth, I think, could use a little help. Tyreek Hill and T. Higgins are a solid 1-2 combo. If you're starting 3 wide receivers, you probably need someone a little bit more reliable than Rondale Moore, Thielen, DPJ, Gallup, or Tony. It seems like that's you're fine with those guys are fine fill-in wide receiver 3s. But if you want to improve the team, I think that's probably the most obvious choice. Maybe tight end, George Kittle, right? I I don't know what's going on with him, but maybe try and move George Kittle.
I don't know. I think you can keep rolling with Kittle. I'm probably holding on to him. I don't know if you're going to get what he's actually worth in the trade market right now.
He lost 7.5 trade value points this week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if you're going to get that. People are going out on Kittle, but I think he's still got that magic in him, still got that juice to help you win a fantasy championship. It's your wide receivers, like JL said, but you're still sitting pretty because if it's a 2 wide receiver league, you start Tyreek and T, and then you've got Ramondre or Rashad White in your flex spot, and you're happy. You know what I mean? And then these backup receivers, if your backup receiver, in case something happens, is DPJ or Kadarius Toney or Rondale Moore, I'm cool with it. Like you have a great team. You've got depth to make it through the playoffs in case of injuries, and it's going to be the running backs that carry you through with Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, now not worried about the suspension, and then Ramondre Stevenson taking that job, and Rashad White sitting there as the 4th guy. Like,
that's solid.
I'm not trading away one of those backs. I'm rolling with 3 of them starting every single week, one of them in my flex, and then you've got the other guy. You've got Rashad White on the bench. You've got Ramondre Stevenson on the bench. Good
Kittle, I just looked it up while you were talking, Simon. Kittle has Arizona this week, which is a solid matchup for tight end. So I would definitely throw him out there. It kind of seemed like he was just mainly used as a blocker this past game. Which explains the dud here against the Chargers last week.
For George Kittle.
Yeah.
Joe, we had another question come in here. Jonathan said, I need some trade advice. Getting offers for Kelsey. Should I trade Kelsey for Devontae Adams and CMC? Yes. If someone legitimately sent that to you, go hit accept right now. Hit accept an hour ago.
Give me your login. I'll hit accept for you.
Maybe check in on the other manager and make sure they're okay.
Yeah, do a wellness check.
Do a wellness check. Devontae Adams and CMC is a lot to give up for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, ship Kelce off. Good riddance.
Honest to God, I would probably do Kelce for one of those
them.
guys.
Yeah, one of those single guys. That's the value. Let's just look at their trade values real quick. CMC, second most valuable player at 74.5. Second most valuable player. Travis Kelce, also in tier 1, 64.5 trade value points. A full 10 less than just CMC. And then you throw in Devontae Adams on top of that, who's also a tier 1 at 63 trade value points. So that's all icing on the cake, Devontae Adams.
If that's a real question, then congratulations, Jonathan. And if your league has vetoes, they're probably going to veto it, even though they shouldn't if the manager decided to make that move.
Yeah.
Something to Sasquatch about had a question for us, JL. Said, I'm 9-1. Jefferson has a toe injury that may or may not be something. I'm thinking of putting Watson in just in case. Then I'd have Amon-Ra St. Brown as the second receiver. So they have to make that decision today because of Christian Watson playing tonight. But I'm going to tell you, I'm holding out with Justin Jefferson. Like, I am not playing Christian Watson over Justin Jefferson because he has a toe injury. He was a limited participant in practice still. I'm expecting him to play. Keep your eyes on the injury report. But this is the kind of play where Jefferson is so much ahead of Christian Watson in my mind, like such a number of tiers above, that I would rather hold out for him and then have to find something on the waiver wire if need be than play Christian Watson tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you, Simon. This injury, it kind of came out of nowhere. He's dealing with his toe injury. I'm not that worried about it. I think he'll be all right. And if he's not, that sucks, but you can't take the risk. You got to start Justin Jefferson. You're going to kick yourself if he does play. He's a full go this week, and you have him on your bench for Christian Watson.
Absolutely. Big Trev was also letting us know that the roster that he's working with has 3 wide receivers and a flex. So in that case, I think maybe you could, like, I'm not desperate to ship away one of those running backs because it's nice to have that extra one, but you're going into the playoffs. You can build that glass cannon. You could trade away Rashad White off that big game. Or Ramondre, see if you can get a T. Higgins in return. That's always the player that we go to. Oh, an Amari Cooper, the other guy that's on the wall behind me. Amari Cooper is a top 12 wide receiver that people don't quite view that way right now. If you could send away Rashad White or Ramondre Stevenson, I'd prefer to send away Rashad White and get an Amari Cooper or something similar in return to add to Tyreek, T, and Amari. That would be hot. That would be hot.
Yeah, I like it.
Or hell, if you could even package like one of those running backs plus one of your bench wide receivers for Jamar Chase. Check on the Jamar Chase manager and see how they're doing. I know you already have T, but if that Jamar Chase manager needs a win this week, you can get it.
Ooh, that's interesting. Go get Jamar Chase for that playoff run. Oh, that's super interesting, Simon. That is a good pull.
Yeah. Scott also saying you should never put a ton of stock into Wednesday practice reports. So many veteran and stars rest. 100%. Limited participant on Wednesday just means let me check again on Thursday. Let me check again on Friday. That's what I think whenever I'm seeing that.
We got a question from you got it.
Yeah. A Ross, first of all, saying that would be hot to go add Jamar Chase over there. But they had a question for us as well. He said, pick one non-PPR. Gus the Bus, Brian Robinson, Cortland Sutton, or Alan Lazard. JL, who are you going with?
The options: Brian Robinson, Gus the Bus. All right, I'm taking Gus out. Brian Robinson, Sutton, or Lazard. Brian Robinson, non-PPR. That touchdown upside. He's just getting insane usage right now.
Man, yeah. If this was any shade of PPR, I think I would go Alan Lazard. Yeah, but it's not. So I'm going to go Brian Robinson. Man, that is a good question, though. I think Alan Lazard, it's real close between Lazard and Brian Robinson. You even change this to half PPR, and it's Lazard for me. But without any form of PPR, I will take Robinson against Houston. That's such a juicy matchup.
Yeah, that's a very juicy matchup. Not a bad matchup for Lazard either. We'll just keep adding points onto the Lazard side.
I want people to feel confident starting Lazard tonight. That was like a big reason why I took the anytime touchdown score prop. Is like, I feel like people are maybe overreacting a little bit to what Christian Watson did last week. And don't get me wrong, I'm scared. I'm nervous. He had 40%. He had a 40% target share against the Dallas Cowboys, and Aaron Rodgers likes winning, and they hadn't done that in a while. I think they were on a 5-game losing streak. He may see that and go, okay, this is the recipe. This is how we win. But I still think Alan Lazard's the best receiver on this team, and I think he's going to be the most involved tonight.
I think so too. At least that's, I think, the most likely outcome in the short term.
Alex did ask, does it change things if I'm going against Rodgers? So going against Rodgers, meaning Lazard, like if Rodgers throws a touchdown to Lazard, they kind of cancel out a little bit, right? 4 points for the other guy, 6 points for you. Does that ever come into your decision-making, JL?
It absolutely does play into the decision-making a slight bit. I wouldn't say that it's a huge factor, but absolutely you gotta look at your matchup week in, week out from a strategy perspective, right? I think a lot of fantasy managers end up looking at it as it exists, and they're just looking at their team and they set their lineup and they're good. But looking at your league mates roster, anytime their QB gets a touchdown, you have a chance to also get points. That's a good strategy. In this case, that's not enough for me to choose Lazard over Robinson. But in some cases it is.
It's a tiebreak. It's not something that I'm prioritizing. Joe, we had another question coming here in the YouTube. Big Trev wanted to know, should I drop Michael Gallup or another wide receiver right now to ensure Watson? So we were looking at his team earlier. The options were Rondale Moore, Adam Thielen, DPJ, Gallup, Tony as the wide receivers. Would you drop Gallup?
Yeah, I would. Out of that group, I would drop Gallup.
Yep, for me as well. I mean, I think he's likely to, like, him and Tony could be the lowest scoring wide receiver out of this bunch. I just want to see what we got with Kadarius Toney, right? That's what I want to see. Guys, everyone who came in here and hung out with us this morning, I want to thank you so much for listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We will be back tomorrow from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time, just like we are every single weekday. But stick around here on Better Sports Network for some more awesome content. Up next is Moose and Keith, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru. And then we got Corey, Nando, and friends on after that. Enjoy your Thursday night football. Watch JL lose this prop bet draft, and we will be back bright and early tomorrow morning. Adios, everyone.
Hasta mañana.